Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. With background play on the YouTube music. Please come in. Official tracks and live recordings in the back. Please come in and hit the like button. I want to play this one first because I had told y'all some time ago about some tea and why Torre and Diddy, you know, they've had some issues before about a Rolling Stones article, but it's deeper than that. And I had made mention to y'all some time ago that Torre, one of his family members, I said his nephew, not quite sure. I know he was related to Torre. Hey, y'all, come on in, hitting the like button. It's too late for me to be asking for y'all to do what y'all should be doing anyway. You know what I mean? So just please come on in, hitting the like button so I could move forward. But Torre and Diddy had some issues because he had asked him some time ago to help a family member be an intern. And Diddy okayed it. And after a while, you know, he did what Diddy do. He flips the script. He gets you real good and you get real excited. Can you hear me? Okay. I guess it wanted me to stall a little bit, but I don't have time for that. But anyway, Torre, the family member, did an intern. I guess he got all excited and was doing all good and just as good as he thought that, you know, that he was bonding and it's all love and you doing good and da 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 da. The minute the sociopath got rejected. Yeah, rejected. He tried to come on to him. Yep, he tried to come on to him and got rejected. And bounced. I don't know why this keeps doing this, but anyway, let's go. I'm gonna start right here.
We're a controlled substance. This is such a Friday night show. The feds could have put Diddy away for life on that alone.
Oh, but yeah, we ain't gonna talk about the jury.
That's the single most talked about and
Instructions.
legal ingredient of Diddy's allegedly illegal enterprise. And tonight we can finally do more than just talk about it. Tonight we can actually see with our own eyes what the feds saw with their own eyes when they raided his $61 million LA mansion back in March of last year. Yes, $61 million mansion. I remember the real estate porn alone. Like, yeah, Diddy's being arrested, but look at that house. I couldn't take my eyes off these chopper shots. It looks like Versailles in the back. Look at it. But then you got, like, SWAT agents walking around, like, heavily armed in, like, Kevlar. And I'm like, man, who lives like that? Look at the garden. And then I'm remembering, oh, dang, that's Diddy's place, and they're there to raid it. Because of that whole lawsuit, you know, that Cassie launched and all the allegations in it. Again, the gardens. Wow. Anyway, that happened 6 months before he was arrested. And the prosecutors in New York just released a trove of all the photos that they got inside that door. Take a left, take a right, take a left, take a right, and take pictures. I know it is late, but if you are still at work right now and you're watching, I urge you to turn down the volume or get some headphones, because I'm about to discuss this stuff. Among the items seized, high-powered rifles, pump-action shotguns, multiple bags of illicit and illegal drugs, and most stunning of all, the sex pantry. Although pantry does not do this justice. There were 200 bottles of baby oil and 900 bottles of
Oh
Extra
yeah,
Black.
and he got some more.
Many of them neatly lined up in cabinets
I'm gonna
and
play it.
stashed beautifully on shelves. Like, look at this. Tucked neatly into little boxes and properly arranged and stacked all the way to the ceiling.
Piece of,
Imagine
y'all remember when?
agents
Hold on.
coming upon
Y'all remember when Diddy leaked that phone conversation with his son, and he said, "Get rid of the pizza boxes." Do y'all remember when he said, "Get rid of the pizza boxes"? And he was like, "What?" He said, "The pizza boxes." And he said, "Oh, okay." Exhibit. What's the exhibit number? 18205. The pizza boxes. Okay. Stock went down on baby. Oh, really? There go the pizza boxes that he was telling Justin to get rid of. Let's go.
and saying, what the?
What the?
Because a special agent, or should I say an understated special agent, testified last week saying the stockpile was, quote, overwhelming. And the same day that agents moved in on Diddy's LA mansion, a different team of federal agents moved in on his Miami mansion. And that is where today's star witness comes in. This guy, who probably wishes he brushed his hair before the mugshot.
I think he thought he was trying to throw the
26
throw
years
the
old
case,
from
but
Ohio.
nope, he threw it right
He was
on
a
into
former
their
walk-on
hands.
for Syracuse University's D1 basketball team. Breaks my heart because my staff member sitting right there is Syracuse, and my kid goes there. But that kid left Syracuse, a star, and then spent 18 months as one of Diddy's gophers. His employment, however, ended the day of the raids when he was arrested at a private airport in South Florida, carrying 3/4 gram of cocaine in his travel bag. This was the body shot. The body
How can you be
shot
so college
when he
smart
really
and,
probably
and not
wishes
know that you can't
could've just gone
lie
away
on the witness
because,
stand?
ugh, yuck. That's going to leave a mark. That kid was planning to fly from Miami to the Bahamas along with Diddy and Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Coram. So yeah, with the big boss and the big boss's second-hand man, lady. But ultimately, the media dubbed Brendan Paul Diddy's drug mule because of that cocaine in the expensive designer Goyard travel bag.
That he said
However,
was his at
the
first.
charges against Brendan
Yeah,
Paul
Diddy gave
were
a bad
dropped.
reputation
He said, I
for
had
the
a good
baby.
lawyer.
Oh,
And today,
baby, when we get to
sourcing and buying Diddy's cocaine
the
for him,
judge's
along with his
instructions,
weed, his pink ketamine known as
I think he
pussy,
may get life,
and
y'all. I
his
ain't gonna
ketamine
even
lollipops
lie.
called K-pops.
He facing life.
But a drug mule? Nope,
I mean,
absolutely not. He said.
but they don't use it
He said the
anymore. They
coke
don't
that he
use
was
what
busted
anymore?
with came from a post-freak-off suite of Diddy's hotel room. Brendan Paul said he stashed it in the designer bag and then forgot to take it out before flying. Oops. Do not ask me why he lied to the police.
I don't
And
know.
said that the drugs were his, but he did. And then he told the court it was because of loyalty.
But he also told the court that he didn't think
former
that
boss today.
he broke the law.
And Paul had one word, and the answer was complicated. I just want to tell my staff right now, sitting off, you will never be asked to do this stuff for me. Just
Complicated.
know it. Everybody behind the
But
camera.
you acting like he's still
in the
your
control
best
room,
friend
I would
because
never ask you
you sit
to
on the
stash
witness
cocaine
stand
in a
line.
Goyard designer handbag. I cannot afford that.
You better hope they don't hit that ass with
Because I
perjury.
found out it's almost $6,000. But I couldn't think of a better word to sum up this whole nasty business, nor a better guest to talk me through this case against Diddy. Touré has spent more than 30 years covering the music industry for Rolling Stone, The New Yorker, The New York Times, Vibe, and many more. He has interviewed the biggest movers and shakers, including Diddy, many times. And lately, he's been giving the Diddy trial the Touré treatment on TikTok. Welcome to the program. I've been waiting for the moment that you and I would finally be on camera again together. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Y'all didn't know Touré is that
I feel like you're the definitive voice on
that
it.
deeply
Give me your
rooted.
Touré summary of everything that we've had in like the last 6 weeks.
In the last 6 weeks, my God, I mean, the government is trying to make the case that Diddy is running a criminal enterprise. I think they're making it. I'm curious to know what you think about the big charge. I think they are showing that he is trapping Cassie through the record deal first, and also through the blackmail of the videos, and also through the violence. And there's another tack of the control that I'm forgetting right this second, because there's so many tentacles of controlling Cassie, but also having a corporation at his control and having assistants who will set up freak-offs, bodyguards who will physically bring her back. The bodyguards in these stories are never in a defensive position. They are only referred to in offensive positions. Go get Cassie. Go get Kid Cudi, right? Go attack this person. So the bodyguards that will bring her back, Christina Karam, who will help make a problem go away. He has employees who are working to help him do the freak-offs, which is Cassie trapped. And then later, I mean, we can argue about whether or not Jane is trapped. And I think a lot of people have said she's not nearly as trapped as Cassie, and that's true. And I wonder if maybe Jane should have been a defense witness instead of a prosecution witness, but Cassie was trapped. Violence,
Hi, Pina.
blackmail.
Yeah.
Hi,
We
Genevieve.
see all sorts of
Uncle Pimp to the-
crimes going on around
to our-
her. I
Uncle
think they
Pimp.
make that case. A lot of people smarter than me who know more about the law than me are saying they don't see it. Do you
Shit.
see racketeering being proven by the government?
They don't want to see it.
I will tell you something. I think that people nowadays have short memories for Harvey Weinstein, for Epstein, for Peter Nygaard, all
Facts.
these extraordinarily rich, powerful men who use enterprise of theirs, all their assets and their money and their power, fame, to get what they want. It's not commercial sex trafficking. They're not making money off it, but it is elite sex trafficking. They're getting what they want. They're getting the women. They're getting the sex. And so I think that the public doesn't really see that, but that is sex trafficking, whether you see it or not. That is sex trafficking. It was with R. Kelly too.
Well, the R. Kelly case, to me, really suggests that it's not going to work out for Diddy, because a lot
Absolutely.
of the government is doing a lot of the same things again, showing a pattern, showing how he uses his business to control the women, using multiple witnesses from his business against him. And you know what's crazy? Is
Against
Diddy's
him.
defense is
And they-
pretty much
and
doing
the
the same
people
thing
act
that
like
the
they
R.
don't
Kelly
see
defense
that.
did. They're trying to say this was consensual. I don't know how you can argue that this was consensual. And even if they could show, well, she liked it here, here, and here, even if you accept that, which I don't think you can really truly get to Cassie saying she really wanted to do it. I think she's mimicking what her captor is saying. What he wants her to say.
Absolutely. Let's go,
But
Torre.
if she says yes 5 times and then is like no, that's right. That's the R word, right?
Yeah. That's kind of the ball of wax, right? Like and I think that the prosecutors, and again, the public isn't following every single day, but if you look at what the prosecutors set up, they said, here are all the times when she was in love with him and thought this is what he wanted, and it was all fun and exciting, I guess, to be a part of it. And then she began to feel as though
Because he
this
made
ain't
her
right.
think
I don't
all
like
of
it.
the
I'm starting to
stars
feel like you're
do
using
it.
me as a prostitute, and those are the moments
Hi,
that I
Jenna
think the
Killer.
prosecutors are going to, in summation, say, you can be willing in one episode and unwilling in the other, and the law is broken. Let me ask you
I don't know
something,
what you
though,
mean
about
by
your
that.
background, because
Wait, she
you're
said,
that
well, she
person who
said-
has.
You know that
If
zesty.
you're turning
Who are you
65
talking
or
about?
beyond, you're going to
Was
want to watch
kicking
this.
off at
There are
Diddy's.
a lot of people today that are Medicare eligible that are enrolled.
Is broken. Let me ask you something, though, about your background, because
Wait, she
you're
said,
that
well, she
person who
said-
has.
She said,
Go ahead.
Cassie said on the stand, I was a sex worker. And
Yep.
the defense objected and the judge upheld that. But that's what she feels.
Yeah.
Right? That she was held in
Right.
reserve for sex for him,
Right?
as Jane would be later. And Jane makes
Yeah.
a similar comment about feeling like a sex worker. I feel like they're not really girlfriends,
And
they're living
admitted-
sex workers.
I think so too, Torre.
Right. And Cassie even admitted, I was into
Absolutely.
it. In the beginning, I was. And then I did it just not to be beaten. I
Right.
didn't want to I didn't want to raise
They
the hackles
getting
and
it.
the ire So I set things up, and I didn't like some of those sex workers, so I set it up to get the ones at least I was comfortable with. So
She is
it will
repeating
be a gray
exactly
area, but
the
I think
same thing that I
information, they can
said.
say, you can be into it one day and not into it another day, and that day you're not into it counts.
Counts.
But I want to
It
ask you about
counts.
your background,
Absolutely, it
because
counts.
if there's one person I would turn to about the industry, not just the hip hop industry, but the music industry, it's you. And I wanted to get your take on whether this, what we're watching today and what we saw in R. Kelly, is this a hip hop problem? Or are we just seeing it in these cases? And it is way bigger, and like, hold
Is
your
it a
horses and
hip-hop
pop your popcorn,
problem?
because these cases are going to keep coming.
Okay.
Well,
Is it a hip hop
we
problem?
just saw, I think today, an explosive lawsuit filed against Fat Joe, which alleges him having relationships with multiple girls who are teenagers, and having his hype man have sex with women in front of Joe and other people as he's orchestrating, watching, and recording 4,000 times. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of shit there's a lot of stuff going on out here, Ashley. I don't think this is a hip hop problem. I think it's a music entertainment
People
problem.
can't
in
see
that
that because
artists
people
are allowed
think
any
it's just
excess.
a party.
They can do whatever they
Now,
want to do.
see,
We
they
see
haven't even got to the
creative
party
executives
part of it,
trying
Teresa.
to carve out
Hold
that
on,
same
let me
stuff for
pause,
them.
because he said, no, we haven't even got to the party part yet. See, people are failing to realize that this is just part one. There are going to be several parts to Diddy. we just in New York. We haven't even made it to California, or Miami. So this is just in the house. This is just the in-house horn stars. Okay, I'm gonna say it like that. Cause cause he told one of those little male O's workers that he liked making his own porn. I'm like, but I wonder, did he tell the females that that's all that you are really is my in-house horn stars, that I have it linked up for all the homies and anybody, pay for view and what is that, fans only type stuff. So they don't even know that they being marketed and sold with these tapes. So that's why when we heard her cussing somebody out, threatening to, to get a hold of him and all that crazy type stuff, I think at that point she realized that she was his horn star. But I don't know. Let's listen.
And you have this massive power imbalance as far as if you are a star or
about the industry, not just the hip hop industry, but the music industry. It's you. And I wanted to get your take on whether this, what we're watching today and what we saw in R. Kelly, is this a hip hop problem? Or are we just seeing it in these cases? And it is way bigger, and like, hold your horses and pop your popcorn, because these cases are going to keep coming.
Well, I mean, we just saw, I think today, an explosive lawsuit filed against Fat Joe, which alleges him having relationships with multiple girls who are teenagers, and having his hype man have sex with women in front of Joe and other people as he's orchestrating, watching, and recording 4,000 times. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of shit there's a lot of stuff going on out here, Ashley. I don't think this is a hip-hop problem. I think it's a music entertainment problem, in that artists are allowed any excess. They can do whatever they want to do. We see creative executives trying to carve out that same stuff for them. And you have this massive power imbalance as far as if you're a star or you're an executive, from Diddy to Reid, who his civil trial is going to happen in September.
L.A. Reid, did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? L.A. Reid. Oh, because that's, oh, snap. Did he just drop that seed? L.A. Reid. So that means, is Usher going to be a part of that? Because that's who Usher was signed to. And L.A. Reid passed him over to go through the booty camp. Oh, snap. L.A. Reid. What did he say? I think that's the entertainment. And he said L.A. Reid is lawsuit coming in September. Oh, wow. Come on. Come on, Torre.
There's a lot of stuff going on out here, Ashley. I don't think this is a hip-hop problem. I think it's a music entertainment problem in that artists are allowed any excess. They can do whatever they want to do. We see creative executives trying to carve out that same stuff for them. And you have this massive power imbalance as far as if you're a star or you're an executive, from Diddy to L.A. Reid, who his civil trial is going to happen in September. You have a massive power imbalance versus the people who are around you, all the people who want to be in the industry and want to be around you because you may be able to lift them up. And also, we're in a 24-hour party environment. This is an industry that happens and operates a lot at night. We're selling fun. You know, we're supposed to be interesting.
Hey, Pressure, I thought L.A. Reid was in the Great Beyond.
Common, you know, a lot
I don't know, but I know that's who
life are common. And as I said,
I know that's who Usher was with first. Him, I know what's the don't go chase TLC was with his wife Pebbles at that time, right? And they, oh shit. No, he ain't beyond. He gonna be just like Uncle Bill was when they put that ass in jail.
Filed against Fat Joe, which alleges him having relationships with multiple girls who are teenagers and having his hype man have sex with women in front of Joe and other people as he's orchestrating, watching, and recording 4,000 times. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of shit there's a lot of stuff going on out here, Ashley. I don't think this is a hip-hop problem. I think it's a music entertainment problem in that artists are allowed any excess. They can do whatever they want to do. We see creative executives trying to carve out that same stuff for them. And you have this massive power imbalance as far as if you're a star or you're an executive, from Diddy to L.A. Reid, who his civil trial is going to happen in September. You have a massive power imbalance versus the people who are around you, all the people who want to be in the industry and want to be around you because you may be able to lift them up. And also, we're in a 24-hour party environment. This is an industry that happens and operates a lot at night. We're selling fun. You know, we're supposed to be interesting. Drugs are common. You know, guns are common. You know, a lot of the sort of excesses of living a wild life are common. And as I said, we have all these younger people who are dying to be in the industry who are like, I will do anything to be at the circus. And people who are like, well, you said anything, so let's see how far that would go. And it seems like talking to people who are victimized by Puff, that's how it would be, that he would take a little bit,
money and power,
take a little more, see how far you go. Are you willing to take a drink when I say take a drink? Are you okay when I touch your butt? Are you okay
this
when I
entertainment
touch your chest?
issue.
Are you okay
Everybody
when I try
knows
to kiss you? Okay.
what their life come with.
Really
Now everybody
and
don't
then
know.
Next thing you know, I mean, Lil Rod talks about this. Next thing you know,
They don't know because that ain't what they tell him in the beginning.
I don't know what happened, but I know how I feel down there, and I know
he becomes a car salesman and he flips it.
Don't wear these perfumes.
He flips it when they
has been talking about
become invested.
But honestly, they're just way out of my budget.
I don't know what happened, but I know how I feel down there, and I know what happened, and like, but I can't prove it.
How about the testimony where Cassie was told, you know, stand up, walk over here, sit down, stand up, move along, and telling the rest of the staff, that's how I want you to behave, like a lap dog. And he literally, according to Cassie, treated her like a lap dog to show the other employees, this is how I want my staff to
He
behave.
sure did
that
do
broke
that.
my heart. If it's true, his legacy is shot no matter what. Could you tell me something? We just ran a banner a hot minute ago that you had a run-in with Diddy at one of these white parties. I wanted you to sort of share what happened and what that
How
was all
much
about.
time
and
do
what it
you
was
have?
like.
I mean, it's not a short story, but I can try to truncate it a little bit. I mean, I was writing for Rolling Stone. He had a line in a song called "Bad Boys for Life" where he said, "Don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks." I'm a hip hop purist, actually. I go back to day one, 1979, Rapper's Delight. I'm like, we write our rhymes. That is critical to being a rapper. We don't brag about not writing. Like, what are you talking about? So I wrote in Rolling Stone that was whack, and I was offended as a purist that he had said that. He called me, and he was very upset. And first he kind of was begging me to take it out of the magazine. And I'm like, there's no way that is happening. And then he starts ramping up to screaming at me. And like the energy and the anger is really coming through the phone. And he's saying things like, I'll end your career. And like, I'm in media, you're in the industry. Like, I don't know how you would even do that, but like, whatever. So he's screaming. And then he sort of comes down. And
Hi, everybody who's come in.
He's really angry. And then he starts begging again. I'm like, no.
Begging?
I was kind of young and dumb. I'm in my 20s at this point. And I had been to other puff parties. I had talked with him many occasions. So, him screaming at me like that was not necessarily like, oh, our relationship is fried. So a couple weeks later, I get an invitation to this white party in the Hamptons. And I'm like, oh, like, that's behind us. Or like, I stood up to him and he respected me and I invited me to another party. Like, cool, whatever. And
how unique,
you
mysterious.
get to the party and there's these Victoria's Secret models in lingerie and angel wings handing you champagne saying like, welcome to heaven. And I get inside, everybody's wearing all white. Actually, it was not celebrity filled. It was the same Black and brown people I'm hanging out at the clubs in New York, and the Two Eyes and Nels, but now we're in the Hamptons with Puff, whatever. So Andre Harrell, who was like his second father, who was a friend of mine, the late Andre Harrell, tells me, and this was good advice, watch out for the pop brownies. But as I said, I was young and dumb.
Hold on.
And he was very upset, and first he kind of was begging me to take it out of the... Next thing you know, you take a drink, and you wake up the next morning and you're like, I don't know what happened, but I know how I feel down there. And I know what happened. And like, but I can't prove it.
Well, how about the testimony where Cassie was told, stand up, walk over here, sit down, stand up, move along, and telling the rest of the staff, that's how I want you to behave, like a lap dog. And he literally, according to Cassie, treated her like a lap dog to show the other
armor of
employees,
God.
this is how I
Hey,
want
Jason.
my staff to behave. That broke my heart. If it's true, his legacy is shot no matter what. Could you tell me something? We just ran a banner a hot minute ago that you had a run-in with Diddy at one of these white parties. I wanted you to sort of share what happened and what that was all about.
How much time do
what it
you
was
have?
like.
I mean,
Hi, Marva.
it's not a short story, but I can try to truncate it a little bit. I mean, I was writing for Rolling Stone. He had a line in a song called "Bad Boys for Life" where he said, "Don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks." I'm a hip hop purist, actually. I go back to day one, 1979, Rapper's Delight. I'm like, we write our rhymes. That is critical to being a rapper. We don't brag about not writing. Like, what are you talking about? So I wrote in Rolling Stone that was whack, and I was offended as a purist that he had said that. He called me, and he was very upset. And first he kind of was begging me to take it out of the magazine. And I'm like, there's no way that
He couldn't handle the truth.
And then he starts ramping up to screaming at me. And like the energy and the anger is really coming through the phone. And he's saying things like, I'll end your career. And like, I'm in media, you're in the industry.
Are you
like, I
talking
don't know
about
how
me,
you
King?
do
Because it's
that,
my
but, like, whatever.
platform.
So he's screaming.
Would you like for me
and
to
then he comes
remove
down
that
and
for you?
He's really angry.
Is that me talking? Does that bother you, Kane? Do it bother you, Kane? Would you like for me to remove that for you? Would you like for me to put you out your misery over here? Put you over there with Cain and Abel? Huh? Do you need a little time out in the corner to think about it, or you just cannot stand it? Y'all, do I need to send him to to be with Abel? Yeah, because he don't know where he at. You think I need to let him come back another day? Okay, you come back tomorrow, since you don't know where you at today. Okay? Bye, Cain. Bye, Cain. Everybody say bye. Yo. Somebody scream. Yeah, get your ass up out of here. Come out of here. Why I hear somebody talking over the interview, because it's my platform. How about that?
And then he starts begging again. I'm like, no. The energy and the anger is really coming through the phone. He had said that. He called me and he was very upset. And first he kind of was begging me to take it out of the magazine. And I'm like, there's no way that is happening. And then he starts ramping up to screaming at me. And like the energy and the anger is really coming through the phone.
Oh, so he went off
things
on
like,
him.
I'll end your career. And like, I'm in media, you're in the industry. Like, I don't know how you would even do that, but like, whatever. So he's screaming. And then he sort of comes down and he's really, really angry. And then he starts begging again. I'm like, no. So now I was kind of young and dumb. I'm in my 20s at this point, and I had been to other puff parties.
We got another clown, y'all. Say bye to Luna.
Me like that was not necessarily like, oh, our relationship is fried.
Bye, Luna.
So
You can't even come back no
I
more.
get an invitation to this white party in the Hamptons, and I'm like, oh, like, that's behind us. Or like, I stood up to him and he respected me and they invited me to another party. Like, cool, whatever. And
No, Aaron, you cannot hear the interview. Absolutely not. So that means you ain't never heard it before. So you should have just shut up and allowed me to run my platform. So now you can't get it. Bye. You better learn how to case the room, baby. And shut up until I play it. The minute you open your mouth, you out of here. You let me know you want to hear it. So you trying to tell me to be quiet on my platform, and you think that's going to work. You think that's a good idea. You really think that's a good idea. Bye, Luna. Your loopy head ass. Get on out of here. Your loopy. Anybody else? Bye, Pat. Bye, Pat. You don't have to worry about coming back no more. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more. Yeah, you just want the tea. Yeah, but you're gonna get it how I serve it, baby. No other way. Bye, Shakia. Bye. Bye. Yeah. You ain't my cup of tea either. Get your ass on up out of here. Y'all was hearing something y'all ain't heard before, but you can't wait. I'm waiting to see. Don't ask me nothing. Don't critique nothing I do over here when you trying to hear something you ain't heard before. But what you really trying to do is record it and take it someplace else. Wrong answer. That ain't gonna work for you. Hi, Jackie. Hi, everybody that's coming in speaking. Okay, we ready to go. We ready to try this again? Let's go. Sit back and enjoy it. Get what you can get. But don't try to come over here and critique me, because that's not going to work for you. Okay, let's go.
Lil Rod talks about this.
I'm good. How
You
about
take
you?
a drink and you wake up the next morning and you're like, I don't know what happened, but I know how I feel. down there, and I know what happened, and like, but I can't prove
Well,
it.
how about the testimony where Cassie was told, stand up, walk over here, sit down, stand up, move along, and telling the rest of the staff, that's how I want you to behave, like a lap dog. And he literally, according to Cassie, treated her like a lap dog to show the other employees, this is how I want my staff to behave. That broke my heart. If it's true, his legacy is shot no matter what. Could you tell me something? We just ran a banner a hot minute ago that you had a run-in with Diddy at one of these white parties. I wanted you to sort of share what happened and what that was all about.
How much time do
what it
you
was
have?
like.
I mean, it's not a short story, but I can try to truncate it a little bit.
Yeah, he stood his ground.
I was writing
He
for
did.
Rolling Stone.
Everybody is not scared of Diddy.
He had a line in a song called Bad Boys for Life where he said, don't worry if I write rhymes, I write checks. I'm a hip-hop purist, actually. I go back to day one, 1979, Rapper's Delight. I'm like, we write our rhymes. That is critical to being a rapper. We don't brag about not writing. Like, what are you talking about? So I wrote in Rolling Stone that was whack, and I was offended as a purist that he had said that. He called me, and he was very upset. And first he kind of was begging me to take it out of the magazine. And I'm like, there's no way that is happening. And then he starts ramping up to screaming at me. And like the energy and the anger is really coming through the phone. And he's saying things like, I'll end your career. And like, I'm in media, you're in the industry.
The
like,
same
how you
stuff
do
that he says
like,
to
whatever.
these females,
So
he said to him.
screaming, and then he sort of comes down and I'm like, he's really, really angry. And then he starts begging again. I'm like, no. So now I was kind of young and dumb. I'm in my 20s at this point, and I had been to other Puff parties. I had talked with him many occasions. So, him screaming at me like that was not necessarily like, oh, our relationship is fried. So a couple weeks later, I get an invitation to this white party in the Hamptons. And I'm like, oh, like, that's behind us. Or like, I stood up to him and he respected me and I invited me to another party. Like, cool, whatever. And, you get to the party and there's these Victoria's Secret models in lingerie and angel wings handing you champagne saying like, welcome to heaven. And I get inside, everybody's wearing all white. Actually, it was not celebrity filled. It was the same Black and brown people I'm hanging out at the clubs in New York, and Two Eyes and Nels, but now we're in the Hamptons with Puff, whatever. So Andre Harrell, who was like his second father, who was a friend of mine, the late Andre Harrell, tells me, and this was good advice, watch out for the pop brownies. But as I said, I was young and dumb, and I was like, move aside, old man, I smoke a blunt a day. And that's a lie, because I smoke more than that. I gobbled down 2 pop brownies real quick, and next thing you know, I was a zombie. And like, the brain is working, but the mouth is not working at all. And I sit down to try to like get myself together.
So Andre Pharrell tried to help him track the warning.
The Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy.
You better get on up out of there.
At all. And I sit down to try to like get myself together, and Puff comes over and sits right next to me, and J-Lo was just beginning to be his girlfriend then. And she's sitting right next to him. And he's dressing me down. How could you do that to me? How could you write that about me? And the mind is working, but the mouth is not working. So I'm not able to say anything back. And J-Lo is sitting beside him. She didn't say anything, but the vibe is like, yeah, what he said. Yeah, I'm like, I don't need you in this at all, right? And he could have embarrassed me, but he didn't. It was a private conversation. I was not happy with that, whatever. And he let me know, and he kind of probably cursed me out a little bit. But it was just between us. And then he left, and I didn't have to leave. He didn't kick me out or anything. And I stayed at the party for another couple hours, drank his liquor some more, and then we went when the sun went down, and nothing happened. And all the millennials and Zoomers in my comments are like, "You've been to white parties?" Yes, I have. Many of us had. Nothing happened.
Yeah, but what I can see is that he's got the king complex where he can't let it go. He doesn't want the criticism, and he's going to let everybody know around it. Listen, there's more coverage on this coming, Tori.
He cannot
likely
look bad. He cannot be exposed. He'll lose it.
Verdict, or they might have the case in their hands to deliberate by Friday. Can you come back?
Maybe. I don't know. I got to talk to you later. This is very late for my family for me to be on TV at this time, so I don't know. This is hard.
Oh, come on. I do it every night, Toure. I appreciate this. I know it's late. Thanks for doing this.
Your lovely partner is sleeping, and my partner is like, can you be quiet?
Well, I appreciate this. Thank you so much. I hope we can talk again. Thanks, Toure.
Always happy to talk to you.
And you can hear more from Toure on his TikTok.
Oh,
Toure
I
Show.
thought
His
this was
YouTube
the
is
one that
at
he mentioned
Toure
it.
Tube, and his Substack is Culture Fries.
No, so it's not this one. Okay, hold on. I thought he mentioned it on this one. Let's go here.
Today, a judge dismissed a juror in the case, claiming they provided inconsistent information.
No, hold on. No, we're going to go here since Toure just mentioned. He just mentioned and reminded us this jury will be funny to me. Oh, yeah. What did we hear? These. Hold on. Let's see. Let's go back down memory lane.
I'm just going to say it. L.A. Reid is a predator. You calling 18, 19-year-old girls in your office and soliciting sexual favors? Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm just going to say it. L.A. Reid is a predator. You calling 18, 19-year-old girls in your office and soliciting sexual favors? Yes, that was happening. And any label, television show, anybody that hires him, you are hiring a predator.
Oh, wow. I forgot. JC is
L.A. Reid is a scary man. He's one of the most powerful people in the music industry, and L.A. Reid has used that power to violate people. He would harass employees and end careers if he didn't get what he wanted. L.A. Reid has even ended artists' careers because their managers wouldn't sleep with him. He's a part of the problem in Hollywood, and he needs to be exposed. So let's get into it.
Hi, Sloan. A shout out to Sloan. I'm just.
L.A. Reid is a big-time music executive and record producer, and he also seems like a creep because he's used his status to take advantage of many people. He supposedly left his position at Epic Records because of allegations of sexual harassment. Reports claim that L.A. Reid was ousted from his job nearly 6 years in after a coworker accused him of putting his hand up her shirt at a holiday party in front of other people.
L.A. Reid, you guys have been waiting a few days to hear Joe's thoughts. So on Thursday, we found out that he abruptly left his position as CEO and chairman of Epic Records. Sony didn't say much at first. 2 days later, they issued a very, very brief statement just saying L.A. Reid will be leaving the company. Now we're finding out that there's assault allegations against him from multiple people who worked in the company.
Now, Sony learned about these allegations because one of his employees actually wrote a letter. An attorney representing one of L.A. Reid's female assistants sent a letter to Sony's legal counsel regarding the harassment that this assistant had faced for a daily basis over a year. L.A. Reid was also accused of asking his assistant while they were on a business trip to lie down in bed with him and give him a hug, which no employer should be laying in bed with their employee. That's so weird. Also, they shouldn't be commenting on their appearance. Well, in that letter, she accuses him of making comments about her clothing and her appearance, as well as propositions that caused her embarrassment and distress, and made it impossible for her to continue working at that label. It looks like this employee wanted probably a settlement or was threatening legal action, so I think that this employee was probably paid off, and this letter is legit because multiple outlets have seen it. So in this situation, that assistant fought for Sony CEO to read this letter and learn who L.A. Reid really is. But not a lot of people are this lucky, and honestly, this assistant went through hell dealing with executives who were essentially telling her, you're gonna lose your job if you continue doing this or speaking on L.A. Reid.
L.A. Reid obviously, and it appears that he had a problem or an obsession with and not being able to separate from his work. It bled into even people that directly worked for him. He got fired from Epic Records because his female assistant wrote a letter that got to his boss. And when they read that, and given, of course, multiple allegations that are being hushed up and been quiet over years, they said, damn, we got to get rid of this guy.
And he has a point, because once you leave your job, you can assume that you can get a job somewhere else. But L.A. Reid, he has this type of power to really blacklist you from entertainment, which is probably why she kept herself anonymous and probably handled this privately, because she doesn't want to miss out from other job opportunities. But Sony put out a statement saying that they are not allowing culture like this in the company, and that's part of L.A. Reid leaving the business. And it's not just assistants who are dealing with this, artists are dealing with this as well. LaToya Rodriguez, known as Toya, found some success on the charts in 2001 with her single I Do. And that's all about what we heard from her, because her career fell off quickly. As of 2022, Toya hasn't put out anything new, and some interesting information has come out on why her career stalled. Well, it wasn't Toya who was actually preyed on, it was her representation. And because her representative didn't, I guess, comply with what he wanted, Toya had to suffer. She actually claims that he R-worded her. Her name is Drew Dixon, and she was working as an executive at a record label when L.A. Reid began making moves on her and unwelcome advances. Reports claim that L.A. Reid would turn cold when Drew denied his unwanted overtures, which reportedly included invitations to late-night catch-ups at his hotel. She actually claims that when she did deny his invitations, she was worried for her artists like Toya because he was budgeting it. L.A. Reid did end up ending Toya's career, and it's all because Drew didn't give him what he wanted.
L.A. Reid is now my boss, and all of a sudden it was like, wear skirts and heels every day, Drew, to work. I started wearing jeans and Birkenstock clogs because I knew he hated those. Okay. You know, there's even like, it's not even in the movie. I signed this artist, Toya, from St. Louis. She had this record called I Do. It was the #1 Churban record in the country.
Churban,
okay.
I heard that language.
Right?
Crossover
we made
urban.
an album that was dope. LA loved it, and he kept saying, come to my hotel after you finish in the studio and listen to the album. And I was already knowing what that was. So I would just always like pretend I didn't get his message, or be like, yeah, let me hit you back. And they just like wouldn't. And there was like a meeting one day at Arista where all the promotion people were
Please double tap the screen, get the likes up.
Was testing so well nationally, and how we were gonna break her. And then L.A. Reid literally
break her
on the table at me. He's like, everybody take out your pens, draw lines through Toya. I listened to her album last night in my hotel room, and he like looked at me, and I hated it.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
94% of people believe company culture is important to an organization.
Wow.
Honestly, kudos to Drew for standing true for herself and standing.
And then L.A. Reid literally looks down the table at me. He's like, everybody take out your pens, draw lines through Toya.
His trial coming in September.
In my hotel room. And he like looked at me, and I hated it.
Honestly, kudos to Drew for standing true for herself and standing up for herself, but it sucks that artists like Toya, who had so much potential, had to suffer as well. And I think it's important that she keeps mentioning Toya and the fact that her album never made it because L.A. Reid killed it because she did not want to go to his hotel room, which probably a great choice. She wrote on Twitter, I'm calling L.A. Reid a predator because he pressured me to become intimate with him when I was VP of another label. When I refused, he wouldn't let me sign Kanye West or John Legend. He buried the album that I executive produced on with an artist named Toya. She was quoted saying that his mentality was that he has the power. If you want access, then you have to sleep with him, or I'll be really mean to you the next day and there will be consequences. What's terrible about this industry is that it happens so often. Drew also has a story about Russell Simmons, who we've spoken about before. At 24, she just landed her dream job at Def Jam Records when he started harassing her, and he would constantly show his erect you-know-what to her without her wanting it. At a restaurant, he allegedly
I forgot about all of this.
And attempted to kiss her. And at one staff meeting, he even asked her to come and sit on his lap. Ugh. She said that she was too scared to confront him because he was so powerful. She actually told one of her male coworkers that if she ever buzzes him and doesn't pick up, then don't call her back, just come and open the door, because that means Russell's in there and he's whipping out his private parts. So she even made a code with the other employees to try to protect herself from when these men would prey on her. Other people have spoken out about L.A. Reid because it's hard to ignore this behavior. Joe Budden shared that L.A. Reid liked to call 18-year-olds into his office and ask for intimate favors. He says that this speaks to the issue of powerful men and how they're able to come and go as they please. And I'm glad he is speaking out against this because we rarely hear other men
Hi, Cynthia.
in
Hi,
the industry
Vincent. Hi,
calling out
Helen.
this behavior and talking about how gross it is. I mean, imagine being in an office space and seeing young 18-year-olds like going to his office and just knowing what's going on in there.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Hold on.
Predator. These rumors were circulating at Def Jam. There was an assistant, multiple assistants at Def Jam that
Well, I
said
can't
LA
hold.
Reid liked to call underage girls in his office. Underage? Well, 18.
Oh, he. How can you talk? I know this is old. But
18, 19-year-old girls in your office and soliciting sexual favors? Yes, that was happening. That was happening. I don't think this is a secret to people in the music business.
He's absolutely right. It's definitely not a secret in the music business. And we've seen, I mean, I just made a video about Russell Brand, and he had so many managers and people working at networks who protected him and his bad behavior. So why is this so common, and how do people like L.A. Reid continue to succeed?
Joe, LA is going to be LA. This is L.A. Reid. I think this is who he is. And any label, television show, anybody that hires him, you are hiring a predator, and you should do your due diligence. What camera's on? This one? Do your due diligence to check it.
L.A. Reid has been pretty lucky as far as being exposed. I haven't seen like a large campaign against him, and you know that one employee, she settled with Sony, so I wonder how many private settlements are really there.
I would like somebody to have to answer for his behavior at Epic, Sony. You can't just put this out. You can't just, because these companies, they just want to rid themselves of liability.
It said that they did launch an investigation, so maybe there's more coming. We haven't heard about that.
L.A. Reid, I'm sure there's a Bill Cosby list somewhere.
And also, I think they're trying to be real careful with it because they know a lawsuit's coming.
As I just mentioned, there are
September. His trial starts September. Thanks to Torre.
It's part of the agreement.
Because I forgot all about this.
His previous employer quietly settled a handful of sexual harassment complaints
A
brought by
handful.
female employees for over a more than 5-year stretch. After each of the prior complaints and its negotiated resolution, L.A. Reid promised to straighten up his act, but he never did. So he would get in trouble with Sony, they would go and pay off these people, and then he would agree to act better next time, but then he never changed.
L.A. Reid spends a lot of money. He spends a lot of money. Now, the problem with that is that when you're paying,
So Arista paid off his, and
now there's a guy from Arista Records. He used to work at Arista like in 2001. He was having some type of celebratory party for like his coworker, and they had it at a hotel, like probably like a banquet hall, like within the hotel. And they go there, and apparently the coworker says, L.A. Reid comes up to him and said, "Yo, Playboy, take this key card and go upstairs. I got a present waiting for you in a hotel room." So he goes upstairs.
What's the one who paid off for Diddy?
Reid allegedly paid for it.
I can't remember.
That this person could have.
So not only is he, doing what he wants when he wants to do it, but he's also hiring people to do these things with employees, which is just so
this is so funny because this was
also has a story
a long time ago, and it's the same thing.
Manager who goes by
I told you
claims that one of the members of the group were having an affair with her husband, who's L.A. Reid. So one of the members of the group was named Chili. Her nickname was Chili, and she was supposedly
she wasn't married to,
which is just so incredibly unprofessional. Not only is he, doing what he wants.
She ain't never been married.
It, but he's
she dated Austin and
people to
and
do these things with employees, which is just so incredibly unprofessional.
Yeah, they did.
Also has a story with L.A. Reid because the former manager who goes by Pebbles claims that one of the members of the group were having an affair with her husband, who's L.A. Reid. So one of the members of the group is named Chili. Her nickname is Chili. And she was supposedly hooking up with Pebbles' husband. Pebbles admits that she never actually caught the two in the act, but she told Wendy Williams that she absolutely believed that they were sleeping together behind her back. Quote, "I suspected a couple of things, but I didn't want to believe them at that time. For years, I didn't want to believe that because they were like daughters to me." Some people try to put this on Chili, but it's really not her fault. She was young. Her career depended on this man.
She was groomed.
Yeah, probably didn't feel good hooking up with her manager's husband.
She was groomed.
But I have no doubt in my mind that he probably went onto her because look at his pattern.
She made a very particular statement that Chili slept with L.A. Reid.
Ask me if I believe that.
Do you believe that Chili slept with L.A. Reid?
Absolutely.
I didn't believe it then because I didn't want to believe it. I loved my husband fiercely, and I loved them fiercely. They were like daughters to me. Bottom line, I don't have a reason to lie about that. I didn't believe in it wouldn't for years. But I have my reasons to say absolutely.
What reasons do you have?
I cannot tell you some of them.
Tell me one.
I just know it. It happened.
Shout out to Pebbles.
Again, I don't think it's Chili's fault, but another story involving Pebbles also involves Paula Abdul. Because I guess that L.A. Reid and Paula had a relationship. I don't think it was intimate, but Pebbles was suspicious because, I mean, look at who she's married to. And at one point, they were hanging out, Paula and L.A. Reid, in his apartment, and they were on the balcony.
Paula she kicked it with Janet Jackson. They used to date.
As soon as he opened the door and saw her, he decided to smash all of the glass furniture inside of his home so that he could distract her from the fact that Paula. And there was also a phone call from Pebbles. So as soon as he opened the door and saw her, he decided to smash all of the glass furniture inside of his home so that he could distract her from the fact that Paula was there and they were hanging out together. It's really weird.
So he had a panic attack. He had a Diddy.
I smiled and I loved it. She never looked at Paula, who
he
was
had a Diddy.
in fear. Reportedly, Pebbles was a jealous wife, and it kind of makes sense to me because her husband was a cheating man. I guess at one point he had to convince Pebbles to stop being jealous of Whitney Houston because Whitney, you know, is a big star. She's intimidating, and L.A. Reid was very close to her. But he admitted that he had to tell Pebbles not to worry about it in his book. I'm not entirely sure why he would really include this, besides to make Pebbles look bad and to use Whitney's name. But yeah, I don't think that he had a super intimate relationship with her. He would just bring her up to the hotel room and hang out with them, and his wife Pebbles would end up showing up in a fit of rage. And the last thing I want to reiterate is that this is a problem in Hollywood. There are so many creeps. We talked about Puff Diddy, you know, P. Diddy and his flavor camp. Well, L.A. Reid actually sent Usher to that flavor camp. So he's the reason why Usher was put in that situation where, you know, P. Diddy did things to him. If you haven't seen that video, definitely go and check it out. But yeah, L.A. Reid is a big part of the problem, and we need to start at the top if we're going to tear down this mess.
Absolutely.
I'll hear it to you guys.
Okay, let's go here before we go anywhere else. Hold on. Since we on L.A. Reid and it's coming in September, T-Sippers, we got to get ready, right? Get ahead of it. Hold on.
Throwback for Usher, Confessions. But I think that Confessions is one of those albums. This is like one of those transcending albums that I feel like changed the climate. Yeah. What was the first song you wrote for somebody else that blew up?
The first one I ever wrote was Throwback for Usher, Confessions.
But I think that Confessions is one of those albums. This is like one of those transcending albums that I feel like changed the climate. Yeah. It wasn't just, oh, this is a dope Usher project. This changed climate. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Between you and shout out to JD and like Jermaine, like,
it's just a perfect album. In my opinion, it's just a perfectly crafted album.
Burn was initially the first single, but they switched to Yeah because they needed something different.
What happened was Burn was always slated to be the first record. Okay. When Sean Garrett wrote Yeah, it was like, it shook up the whole Atlanta. Everybody was talking about this song. Gotcha. And L.A. Reid had Sean Garrett, I think Sean Garrett signed a HICO. Or he would work at HICO all the time. And no, he wasn't, because I don't think Sean did a pub until later, but he was at HICO all the time, which was owned by L.A. Reid. So he heard this song and he's put out an APB on it and told Usher, you got to cut this song. And Usher was like, I'm not singing this song. I'm not singing
Usher didn't want it.
No. I remember being in the room and they played it. I was there when he played it for Usher, and I fell on the floor laughing. I thought it was terrible.
You thought it was terrible?
By the way, Sean Garrett is one of the greatest. And I'm telling you,
Yeah was terrible.
I'm in the club with the homies trying to kick a little VI and put it down in the low key.
You're coming from a
So
purist
I'm listening to the words and I'm like, and then you hearing Sean voice singing. I was like, what does that even mean, right? Yeah. So I was like, nah, this is not. I laughed because I thought it was hilarious. Usher was like, I'm never singing that. I remember hearing, I don't know if it was Mark Pitts or KP was on the phone, and I remember hearing L.A. Reid on the phone saying, I don't give a fuck what you gotta do. You better sing that fucking song. Hung up. And I just remember leaving and like, I'm thinking, oh, Usher not singing.
He's not gonna do it.
Because when I heard
your whole life, huh?
Because when I heard Usher sing it,
Yeah.
I understood. It became different. Like, this is the illest shit in the world. So what happens is the gift of A&R, artist and repertoire, the understanding of how to hear a hit is a gift. And some people don't understand how to hear a hit. It's something I had to learn.
Oh, I thought he said he cussed him out. Hold on.
Overnight boarding. Your pet will stay overnight in your sitter's home and not only be treated like.
Are you guys ready? So much to talk about. There has to be.
Stop. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to do too much at one time. Let's go. Let's see what this. Lord. Okay.
This commenter is absolutely right. I don't know how I missed this in the trial. Capricorn testified that she used to set up hotel.
This is, see, we let it slide that Kim Porter used to do them freak offs too. And I tried to tell y'all about it. I was supposed to play this the other day, but that's when y'all president started that war, and I had to deviate. But I want to make sure I touch bases on it because I'm sure this is about to come up too. Kim Porter did the freak offs as well, and I tried to touch bases on her book that was pulled from Amazon because it was exposing this same stuff. Hi, Chad. The same stuff. But in her book, she brought up Jay-Z. She brought up Jay-Z. It was a couple more elite people that she would interact with, and she would be okay with, you know, a little threesome type of thing, a little freak off, I guess, until and I remember in the book it made mention that Jay-Z did not want to have sex with her. He only wanted to be intimate with Diddy. Now we can say she died from pneumonia, but knowing what we know now and how we know it to go down, it just rings a little different right about now. So when we got all caught up, because so much hey, Dubo. I'm gonna have to stop looking because I'm gonna get thrown off. And so because so much be happening back to back until we be forgetting we be forgetting gems that was dropped. That's why I went ahead and went on to Reid, because he threw that little gem out there about Reid. Trial starts in September, and it's like, yeah, well, what? Yeah, what? Okay. So when Capricorn talked about her setting up for these freak offs and stuff, she was setting them up also for Kim. And I remember Kim kind of lost or fell off from it or didn't want to do them anymore, because I remember in her memoirs, her books, she said that she was pregnant and she didn't want to do it while she was pregnant. In his mind, and it sound odd then, reading it like, what? But now it don't sound odd. So in his mind, he was like, oh, they gonna love it. They gonna love it. You pregnant too? Oh yeah, they gonna love it. Gone in there and do whatever you need to do to get ready. While she was pregnant. And I remember she said, with your child. And he just looked at her like, bitch, if you don't get in there and get. So when I saw Torre, and again, Torre is not just no fluke. And I know he's a journalist, you know, and he had his own podcast. So But I do again know that he has a family member that although he say he ain't never seen nothing in no white parties, he has a family member who was fired as an intern cause he wouldn't sleep with Diddy. Now he know that. Now I don't know why he playing dumb. He may have went to the parties just to check it out, but hell, he must have left, or he wasn't invited to the second and third room. He didn't go up to the other levels because they knew hell. And if you had already wrote bad about him to Rolling Stones, he wasn't gonna let you get nowhere near nowhere near where the happenings, the after party at the hotel lobby stuff went down. But Andre made sure he told him, don't get lost in them brownies. There's some shit up in there. But let's go. Let's go.
Nights once a week for Kim and once a week for Cassie.
There we go.
Different hotels, different. So she's.
Stop right there. I'm going to let it play again.
Was dealing.
But hold on. So same day, same host, same everything. So, you know, when it came to that little girl that was dangling off the side of the room, and they said, well, how can he be two places at one time? Capricorn Clark, it was the one that I knew somebody had said that they would make hotels on same time, same place, some for celebrities, Frank Black, Frank White, all of that.
With the same crap.
Hey, Derek.
Capricorn was setting up rooms for both of them. She was putting the same stuff in both the rooms.
Both rooms.
She's going to Kim's room afterwards to sweep for stuff and finding it in disarray with handprints in oil, and Diddy had Kim all up in the madness.
And
I didn't think it was happening with Kim.
Yeah, we did.
It feels different.
It's in her book. And she was pregnant. And he didn't care.
This commenter is absolutely right. I don't know how I missed this in the trial. Capricorn testified that she used to set up hotel nights once a week for Kim and once a week for Cassie. Different hotels, different. So she's saying that Kim was dealing with the same crap.
And it was in her book that was due to be released, and then she got pneumonia.
She was putting the same stuff in both the rooms. She's going to Kim's room afterwards to sweep for stuff and finding it in disarray with handprints in oil, and Diddy had Kim all up in the madness. I didn't think it was happening with Kim.
Do his kids know that? Do Quincy know that? Albie sure do. Do her sons? I'm sure her daughters don't. Yeah, that's crazy. That's some fracking. That is some fracking. I ain't gonna even lie. That's some fracking. Hold on. And it was in her book that the kids snatched. Yeah. Let's see what this was.
Fat Joe is facing a $20 million federal civil suit alleging that he was having relationships with 15 and 16-year-old girls.
Those ladies are grown.
His hype man of
hold on. Hold on. Yeah, grown don't have nothing to do with breaking the law. They can be freakazoids, freak all pals, but you cannot coerce. You cannot. What y'all guys be doing? Trick them out there. They can't bait them and switch them. And you can't when they decide they don't want to freak that night. You got to respect that and move on. You can't say, well, you was a freak the other night. You been freaking, bitch. You gonna get this deep. You can't do that, baby. They got a name for that. That is that day that they decided that they did not want to do it and they was forced to do it, that day they was a victim. You cannot go back and say, well, you done it before. That ain't how that work. You putting your ass in prison. That day that she said she didn't want to freak nobody, I'm on my period, I'm ovulating, I don't want to do it, I feel like you just using me, and he made her, she's the victim. She tried to leave. Sugar, where you been? You didn't see him drag her when she tried to leave? That day that she tried to leave and he got his little sausage out the shower, ran down the hall, grabbed her and ran her back, dragged her. That day she tried to leave. And that one day, gonna send that ass to prison. How about that? That one day. So you can play with yourself. You can try to justify it in your mind. You can even try to duplicate it. But you get the wrong chick on the wrong day, and your ass is gonna be up the river without a paddle. Okay? Let's be clear. She could have been a hoe all her life. That day she didn't want a hoe, and he took it anyway, is the day his ass gonna sit and rot in jail. How about that?
Years alleges that he was forced by Joe into over 4,000 sex acts with women that were watched, orchestrated, and recorded.
Absolutely.
By Joe.
People do it all the time.
Joe was doing the Diddy shit.
Hell, if you ask your mama, somebody done beat her ass before. You done seen your daddy or your whoever beat her ass, and she went back to it. You know how I know? Cause the way you talk, you are accustomed to beating women, seeing women. So ask your mama, have a dude ever took some cookies from her when she said no? He slid that stick on in there anyway. That's why you got that type of mentality. Oh yeah, yes you have. Some nigga done beat her ass upside the head. That's why you talk the way you talk. I ain't say you, I said your mama. Yeah, I said your mama. Yeah, that's what I said.
About the 3 girls, 15, 16, and 16, who Joe was supposedly having a relationship with, flying around, bought cosmetic surgery for one of them. This guy says Joe was manipulating him psychologically, financially, sexually for years, making him do stuff like have sex with women on luxury boats and shit, while Joe and all these people are watching. Joe denies all the charges.
I ain't gonna make him
An
leave.
extortion scheme.
I ain't gonna make it, not yet.
Maybe, but it's a 157-page lawsuit that starts with trigger warning, and it is graphic, and we will see where this one goes.
It was graphic. Hold on. One more time for the one time it was over here. I forgot. This is the LA Reid. This is the last one I'm gonna use on him today because I ain't gonna be on here all night.
Close, but not.
His accuser to turn over evidence from another case.
Another case. Let's go.
Music mogul L.A. Reid is being sued by former music executive Drew Dixon. Now, she claims L.A. sexually assaulted her twice about 20 years ago.
Well, why they not talking about that other little girl? Oh, he settled, I think.
From another case
she used to be on that.
Also sexually assaulted her. Now, 2024 is the gift.
She used to date Ray J.
Seems to be the year of the truth. What are your thoughts on these
Something Marie.
Alice, go to you first.
Well, you know, Claudia, the one thing we never want to do is say that the victim is lying. But I have to be honest with you. I've known these two gentlemen for over 20 years. I vacation.
Well, you lied to Star. Oh, my God.
Honestly, I just don't see any of this coming from them. So, for me...
How long ago was this?
This is what I wish. I wish people like her, and I feel like
Man, you lied to Star Jones. What are you talking about? Oh my
where
God.
women or men, when they have been sexually assaulted or victimized in any way, we've got to create an environment where they feel comfortable coming forward at that
No,
time.
you can't. No, because
The reason why I
they
say
look.
that is because if she's right,
Oh my God.
this has been 30 years that other victims could have experienced the same thing. And had she spoken up sooner, we would have been able to minimize some of the other victims in the situation.
Now, if he'd have kept his thing to himself and stopped trying to force people,
these guys.
yeah, your friend has issues. We know he do.
Sexually assaulted.
Hell, Kimora was 14, and you lied to Star Jones.
They're very cool to men, and then they're a different person with their victims, and that's something that's like any woman that's been abused by a man, and to hear people say, "Oh, but he's such a cool guy," yeah, because you're no threat. You know what I mean? Like,
he not into you. He didn't take your weenie.
I hear what you're saying, because it's like I've been around girls that probably they wild out with their boyfriends, and I don't see that side because I'm not dating them. 18 women have also accused Russell of sexual assault, and then he moved to Bali. We know that, and people speculate it's because they have no extradition. So individuals of that crime, individuals accused of crimes do not have to return to their country. There's a lot of this, swirling around this, around him. And I've definitely been around Russell as well. Like, he was cool to me, but I was never, I don't know.
Right.
Armand, what do you think about this? I know it's like a tricky thing, right? So
It's one of those tricky things when it comes to sexual assault. I never really like to go in too much. I just feel like people need to speak out as soon as they can, as soon as it happens.
That's not how that works.
But one thing I will say that I thought was interesting, like, if I'm Russell Simmons, I'm like, well, how not get it? Like, why do you want to expose me right now? I thought we were kind of laying low. You done threw me in the lake of fire now, L.A. Reid. I mean, yeah, I hope they get this all figured out. Sexual assault stuff, that's not really my ministry because people it's really, really touchy, and I stay out of it. I stay clear from that stuff.
Mr. Burns, we have some comments. Let's go to the comments in the chat. Let's see. Mr. Burns said, who cares if you know them? They could still be abusers. Key Webb says Russell has groomed Kimora since she was 15.
I said 14.
Said twice. This sounds a bit fishy. And if LA is immediately asking for evidence, it seems like he may be in the right. Teamo said she has spoken up. No one listened to her. They blackballed her and forced her out of the industry. And Scorp 1121 said it's not any victim's responsibility to stop abusers. It's the abuser's fault.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but at some point, like,
no.
This is why it gets tricky because I'm like, we need some evidence. Like, we just start believing everything anybody says. Like, at any point, anybody can throw an allegation on you or I, and it's just like because we have a public platform or we may have money or whatever you have, then you're just supposed to be you believe a person. You know what I mean? Just because they have a less than or they're not the famous one or whatever the case. That's why for me, I need some proof.
And y'all fell for
or something.
Right.
We had a comment that said, y'all believe Cassie? Nothing?
Well, I mean, Cassidy came with all the receipts. She came with a video, audio, text messages, voicemails, girlfriends. She came with a slew of receipts. So it's a totally different in that case. She
But because she had receipts, and some of these clowns still saying she lying.
Handed it all over to the attorneys. Like she had tons and tons of receipts.
And she was ready to go. She was ready to go to court with it. Like, and then mind you, she has said nothing else after everything got done. Like, you could tell, like, she wanted what she got, and she got out. Like, it was, give me what I got, and the work is done. Like, she did what she needed to do. I believe Cassie. I do believe Cassie. But I feel like the way that she presented it, it was enough there for me to be like, okay, yeah, this is accurate.
You do understand that not everyone's going to have evidence, right? Like that as good as and as efficient, as thorough as Cassie. And it doesn't mean that it's not true,
Yes, it does mean that it's not true, but it also doesn't mean that it happened just because you said it happened.
Oh.
I'd rather err on the side of caution and not. It's.
But you were on Lizzo's side.
What do you mean?
The other day. But you were Team Lizzo.
No, I really wasn't on her side. I was actually playing devil's advocate because we've talked about Lizzo before. Al, relax. I was not on Lizzo's side.
Why are you telling me to relax? I'm just
You get
chuckling.
so geeked when you have a partner to comfort
No,
you.
no, don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm
Don't
doing
do
it.
that.
I'm doing it.
You geek when you have your partners here too.
You have one for 6 years. LQ said, Al Hush, you sound crazy. You're blaming the victim.
I clearly said I'm not blaming the victim. Clearly said that at the top of the conversation.
Let me finish what LQ said. She said Russell has assaulted a lot of victims, and Emerge said it's called people in power can basically do what they want until karma hits. Hey, I guess it's something we'll never know. You know, if you've been a victim, you're going to be more on the side of the victim. If you've not, then you're going to be maybe more critical thinking about it, I guess.
Why? My thing is, why is it so like when it comes to men, we believe it right away, but when it's a woman, we kind of like, you know, here, go present at the Grammys and it's okay.
Right.
I mean, you know, we talk about the double standards on the show all the time. It's one of those things in our society. And hey, you're right. Sometimes that is the case, and I'll give you that. You know what I mean? It is a lot harder because we don't expect it as much from women. So it is harder to, it's harder for us. And we're now getting into 2024 where we are hearing some cases of it. And up until recently, we really didn't hear a lot of that. So I'm for it. I'm for women that are guilty, of course. And I also, you've heard me on the show before, I am behind legislation that would penalize people that are found guilty of lying on these types of things. Because you can really...
Okay, hold on. Let me get to... Oh, hold on. Is this... Let me see. Come on.
We have an update on John.
What just happened? Hold on.
He took the excesses of the industry and went all the fucking way. Early on in the Diddy case, a CNN anchor asked me, "What does this say about hip-hop?" And I said, "Nothing. This symbolizes nothing about hip-hop. But I do believe that this is an outgrowth of the music business in general. In 30 years of covering this industry, I have seen a world where anything goes. Artists are allowed any excess, and some creative executives take that same tack. I remember going to Scott Storch's mansion in Florida, and I'm interviewing him for Rolling Stone, and as soon as I walk in, he's like, anything you need to make sure this is a good article. And he's clear as like, I could get you women, I could get you coke, I could get you this, I could give you money.
Oh, yeah, this the
I'm
one.
like, no, you don't need to pay me. But this is sort of the music business way that all these things are sort of in traffic all the time. These are people who are selling fun, and often they want to embody that. And it's an industry where the hours are incredibly long because generally studio sessions, concerts, parties, clubs, that's happening at night. But they're also interfacing with businesses that work during the day. So a lot of people are working like 18 hours a day. It's definitely a work hard, party hard kind of vibe. Drugs are common, hammers too. In the 80s, it was normal for somebody to be doing white powder at their desk in the music business. In the 90s, you saw a lot of the street element coming into the industry, or people who are in the industry getting the
Yeah, I need y'all to get the lights
on
up.
their side.
Double tap
there's an
your screen,
increase of
please.
Violence and people doing illicit things
Or
while
hit the
being
thumbs
in the
up.
industry. And there seems to be a blurry line between what's cool and what's not. And people got hammers, people got guns, people got S-workers, and like, hey, we're having a party here. It's the music business. I think the thing with Diddy, as a man of constant excess, he just had to take it too far. People are fooling around with S-workers, he turns it into the freak off. People are trapping recording artists, but still letting them live. He puts Cassie in a virtual cage.
Hi, Myron.
People had little hammers, he's got AR-15s. People are puffing weed all day, he's injecting horse tranquilizer. He took the excesses of the industry and went all the fucking way. Early on in the...
Dang, that's not it either.
Early
Okay.
on in the Diddy case, a CNN anchor
One
asked
of them
me,
he
"What
got.
does
He
this
said
say
it.
about hip hop?" And I said,
He
"Nothing. This
he brought
symbolizes
up his
nothing about hip hop."
his family
But
member. Hold
I do
on.
believe
Why
that
I
this
can't
is an
stop this?
outgrowth of the music business in general. In 30 years of covering this.
Okay, let me move on. So over here, let's go. Is this Friday? I need to listen to that over here. Let's go with this one. Hour and 24
Has
minutes.
denied all allegations and claims any sex was.
Getting ready for what to expect this week. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thanks for streaming with us. The fate of Sean Diddy Combs could be in the hands of a jury exactly 1 week from tonight. The hip-hop mogul faces life in prison if convicted in the racketeering and sex trafficking trial. Combs has denied all allegations and claims any sex was consensual. Tonight, federal prosecutors releasing new photos of evidence. Dozens of photos taken during last year's raid of Combs' LA mansion showing mass amounts of baby oil, several weapons in a gun safe, body armor, and drugs. Today, the jury hearing from Combs' former assistant and former Syracuse basketball player Brendan Paul. He testified under immunity, telling the jury when he was hired, Combs told him to break up with his girlfriend and be prepared not to see his family. Paul saying Combs doesn't take no for an answer, explaining Combs wanted them on the move like SEAL Team 6, a highly secretive and elite Navy SEAL unit. Now, coming up, after hearing from multiple former assistants in this trial, what is that kind of job like? We'll take you inside the life of one, the demands, the schedule, and what's really expected. But we begin with ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky. Aaron's been in the courtroom throughout this trial. He joins us now live outside the courthouse there in Manhattan. And Aaron, court was back for a shortened day after 2 days off. The judge started with some updates. What did he say?
Primarily, he said that he was going to keep a juror on the jury, and there had been some debate about that. A couple of sealed courtrooms in order to discuss an issue of communications. Apparently, this juror had communicated about his jury service with somebody else. That's not allowed. And when word got out about it, the judge was upset, Eva, because he believes somebody, either from the prosecution or defense team, leaked it. Said, someone's lying because the courtroom was sealed when the defense and prosecutors said they didn't know how word got out. But the judge said that he was going to keep that juror on the panel, so that juror will be included in deliberations. And then prosecutors called their last 2 witnesses.
All right, let's talk about what we heard on the stand today. Brendan Paul, the former Syracuse basketball player, a former assistant to Sean Combs. He began his testimony by explaining some rules that he was given when he began working for Combs. Talk to us about these rules.
Well, he had to be available, and one of the other assistants advised him to break up with his girlfriend and be prepared not to ever see his family because the job was so demanding. He once testified that he went 3 straight days without sleep, and he also testified that to stay awake, he used cocaine sometimes and prescription Adderall. And before he took the job, the only thing he had done in terms of illicit drugs was smoke some marijuana. He also testified, Eva, that part of his job was to procure drugs for Sean Combs. This goes right to one of the predicate acts of the racketeering conspiracy charge. He said that every month he would buy, or every 2 months, he would buy a pound of marijuana, 2 different strains that Combs liked. He was also made to procure a powdery mix of ketamine and Molly called Tusi that was dyed pink, he said, for the aesthetic.
And what did he say about his role when it came to Wild King nights?
He was made to set up hotel rooms for these things. Cassie called them freak-offs, Jane called them hotel nights. The assistants, like Paul, knew them as Wild King nights. And he stocked the hotel rooms with the supplies the jury now is familiar with, the baby oil, the Astroglide, the lights that cast the reddish hue. And he said he would have to clean up after those nights. And the jury today saw some bills for damages that Combs incurred. $1,200 for sheets that were soaked with baby oil, $1,800 for a carpet that was stained with baby oil. Brendan Paul, though, said something on cross-examination too, Eva, and that is that he never knew Jane to be hesitant or apprehensive about participating, helping perhaps the defense make the argument that she was not a victim of sex trafficking and that all the sex was consensual, as Combs has argued.
Brendan Paul was arrested in March of last year for cocaine possession. What did he say happened that day?
He lied.
He was on board a private plane with Sean Combs and his chief of staff, Christina Coram. The jury actually saw a picture of the three of them on board the private plane, the small cabin, luggage stacked in the back. He said they were off to the Bahamas. This was March 2024, right around the time Combs' home in Miami and also his mansion in Los Angeles were searched. And one of the things that he had on him at the time was cocaine. And it was in a Goyard bag, and he was asked, was the cocaine yours? And he said, no. And he said, well, whose was it? The prosecutor said, Mr. Combs. Did you tell law enforcement that? No, he said, out of loyalty. Later, though, he did concede that the cocaine was Combs's. He ultimately had those charges dropped as part of a diversion program, and he's testifying as part of an immunity deal.
The last witness who took the stand today for the prosecution
it was dropped because
it
wasn't his drugs.
This is going to be
And
the
he
last
told them
witness
who
for them in
drugs
general.
it
What did
was.
he show the jury?
And they already knew who drugs it was.
He showed reams of
They was
money
already
transfers,
investigating.
hotel invoices, travel records. This was all to help the prosecutors do two things. One, establish the transportation for the purposes of prostitution, because he showed the jury all the arrangements for the male escorts that participated in hotel nights with Jane. There were 45 of them between 2021 and 2024, prosecutors said. And he also showed all the hotel invoices where these things took place. So that also goes to the idea of sex trafficking. As prosecutors see it, Jane was coerced into these things, and now the jury has a much rounder picture that Combs and his employees booked the travel, booked the hotels, stocked the rooms, as prosecutors have alleged all along.
Aaron Katursky for us there at the courthouse. Aaron, thank you so much. Let's dig in more to today's testimony with ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer. You were in court today. Sean Combs' former assistant, Brendan Paul, we have to talk about him. He testified under immunity. He talked about that arrest for cocaine possession. It's kind of a big moment today.
Yeah, so March 2024, he gets arrested while on a plane with, as Aaron pointed out, Christina Coram and Sean Combs. But the details really, I think, help both sides, because Paul is meant to help the government with this predicate act of drug distribution, which is a predicate act of the RICO conspiracy. They only got approved too, and that there's a criminal enterprise, and then they get that RICO charge. But
oh no, they ain't dropping none for you.
0.7 grams of cocaine, and the defense really
but the actual raid was really for Diddy.
Process that, as Brendan Paul put it,
and at first he lied, and then after he lied, hold on.
So is this distribution of narcotics?
So initially he lied. When they did that raid, all three of those raids at the same time was to chop up Diddy. And then when he lied and said it was his, he was arrested. Them investigators and the feds and everybody came in there, probably could tell them who picked him up, when, wasn't for, whatever, because they already had those details. And at that point, he made a deal. But they needed him for, I said they brought him in there, and then the feds came in and questioned him, probably showed him evidence and let him know at that point how serious it was. So a state charge, the feds can always supersede that and get that knocked down for him to be a witness like he is right now. So that's what that is, because they knew at that point already that those were Diddy's drugs and that he was finna to traffic them, and he just so happened to lie and say it was his. So I get it. That's why his ass is up there. He probably still don't have no problem on that witness stand, probably with Puffy, but he know good and damn well he wasn't finna go on the Fed charges. Once the feds came in there and interrogated him, he knew then, oh no, those were Mr. Puffy's. That was Mr. Sean John's. Yeah. So now he telling it. Yeah, but Gene Deal say he think he been an informant.
What I'm dealing with the indictments suggest, or is this personal use drugs? The defense is going to argue one, the government argues the other.
Okay, Paul was named in a civil lawsuit by Rodney,
which is a predicate act of the RICO conspiracy. They only got approved too, and that there's a criminal enterprise, and then they get that RICO charge. But Paul was arrested with 0.7 grams of cocaine, and the defense really harped on not only the amount that he was arrested on, but also the amount that he gave to Sean Combs throughout that 18-month process that, as Brendan Paul put it, he believed it was for personal use, both in terms of the amount and how it was given to him. So is this distribution of narcotics, as the indictments suggest, or is this personal use drugs? The defense is going to argue one, the government argues the other.
Okay, Paul was named in a civil lawsuit by Rodney Lil Rod Jones that claimed that he worked as a mule for Combs, right? So he was asked about this during Cross today. Combs has denied any of these allegations made against him in that civil lawsuit. What did he say about it?
So, lawsuit. Pictures within the lawsuit of Brendan Paul and Sean Combs together, the infamous pouch sometimes seen in this, and he was asked by Brian Steele in cross-examination, are you a drug mule? And Brendan Paul pushed back and said, no, I'm not a person who is moving kilos of drugs across state lines. What I did was I purchased about 5 to 10 times over the course of 18 months, drugs like many other assistants did for Sean Combs for his personal use. We were not a drug criminal enterprise. We were not distributing large amounts. He said very adamantly he is not a drug mule.
But he did talk about the
But he done lied before.
Enterprise today.
He said drugs was his and it wasn't.
What do you take away from that?
It was somewhat of a little bit of a sleight of hand by the government, asking if this was an enterprise, and Brendan Paul said yes. Don't forget, whether or not this is a criminal enterprise goes to that RICO conspiracy.
He asked, was it? He said, what now?
Cross-examination came.
Take away from that?
It was somewhat of a little bit of a sleight of hand by the government, asking if this was an enterprise, and Brendan Paul said yes. Don't forget, whether or not this is a criminal enterprise goes to that RICO conspiracy. But again, Brian Steele on cross-examination came back and said, when you say enterprise, do you mean a criminal enterprise, or do you mean an enterprise because the name of the company, the name of where you got money from was Combs Enterprise? And I said, yeah, it's Combs Enterprise. It's an enterprise, not a criminal enterprise. We're here for music, production.
But you was selling, you was moving drugs.
Back and forth, I think, made it very interesting.
And the special agent that's on the stand, the end of the day on the stand, is going to be back on the stand on Monday. The prosecution is expected to rest after that witness finishes.
How is it personal consumption? When he asked the triple S workers, do you need this? You need a molly, you know, or he'll put the drugs in their mouth, you know, or he'll put a plan B in their mouth. I mean, so it ain't necessarily all for his consumption. Hell, you let some people tell it. Before now, they were saying, oh, he didn't do drugs. Diddy don't do drugs. Now, oh no, those was for his consumption. Y'all have integrity issues. Y'all just lie. When y'all move the goalposts, y'all, to avoid being wrong, you just will lie. So Real Mayhem, you lying. All of those drugs was not for his own personal consumption. It was to get people drugged up and out so that he could take advantage or he can get what he wants from them. He asked the triple X male O's what pill they like, what they need. So miss me with that. He may not. So the traditional, he may not have distributed them for money, but he distributed. It's just like he didn't use the females as triple X workers. He used the men for them. So he just did everything on the reverse. But it don't matter. It's still illegal. It's still illegal. It was illegal for him to get on the plane and go out the country with them. Whether he grown or these people knew or he wasn't distributing, it's still illegal. Y'all have a problem with illegal. That's the part that blow my mind. I see why A lot of my culture stay in jail all the damn time.
Stand, end of the day on the stand. Is going to be back on the stand on Monday. The prosecution is expected to rest after that witness finishes. What do we know about the timeline for the defense?
So right now we're understanding
he used people to get drugs
Friday. The
for
government will come
him.
back on Friday. Probably for the rest of the morning, they will be direct exam.
He used these kids at this time, young people, whatever, at that time to do the dirty work for him. When he first started working and he was working days without sleep or whatever, he said Puff would be hyping up and he would have to take something to be able to stay up, to work straight, to be forced to work. So it may have started out, it was just for Puffy. And then over the course of time, how else do you stay up 24/7 for 2 or 3 damn days? Come on now. But once we hear them, let's go.
After that witness finishes, what do we know about the timeline for the defense?
So right now what we're understanding is that it's Friday. The government will come back on Friday. Probably for the rest of the morning, they will be direct examining this special agent through more of the summary witness information, trying to connect Jane, not just through the trafficking, but also the intent to engage in prostitution across state lines. The defense believes that they'll finish cross-examining this witness by the afternoon. That means Tuesday. We expect for the defense to put on their witnesses, and they actually believe only about a day or two of witnesses. We could see both sides rest by Wednesday of next week. That means closing arguments on on Thursday actually. Whether or not the judge gives the case to the jury on Friday to begin deliberating or Monday, I would expect, if you're thinking Thursday for closing arguments, following Thursday, maybe the following Thursday after that, July 3rd or so, we might have a verdict.
Brian Buckmeyer, I got more questions about the defense's case when we come back, but still ahead here. The prosecution has one more day to finish making their case. Will Diddy take the stand? Our legal experts are going to weigh in on that when we return.
No. Absolutely not. Y'all get the likes up. It's 330 people in here. I should have well over the amount of likes. Get them up, please. Or I'm just going to shut it down.
Mix-ins like Oreo cookies or Pop-Tarts pieces. That's kind of genius, actually. For a fresh way to Friday, gotta be Wendy's.
Do you know how to get the likes up? Do you know how to double tap your phone? Hit it twice. The face of your phone, hit it twice, please. Okay, somebody got it. Double hit it. Double tap. Or find your like button on your tablet or your computer. The thumbs up. Hold on, let me show it to you. Just in case we having some difficulties finding it. I mean, I don't know why. We've been at this for a while. I should not have to be stopping. It's too late for me to be going through this. Why I can't find her like button? Oh, right there. You see where that, hit that. Hit that. Go to the front page and hit that, okay? And do just like that. Okay? I need 10 more people. Come on.
Welcome back. It's time now to break down the legal strategies we saw playing out in court as the prosecution gets ready to rest its case against Sean Diddy Combs on Monday. Here with me, Brian Buckmeyer playing defense and Bernardo Villalona analyzing the prosecution. Bernardo, let's just get right into the Brendan Paul of it all. It seems like they were using him to try to show alleged criminal enterprise. Do you think they got the job done?
Yes, I think so. In terms of Brendan Paul, an employee of Combs Enterprise. As an employee of Combs Enterprise, aside from being the personal assistant of Sean Combs, he was also procuring drugs for Sean Combs. So you have an employee engaging and getting drugs for Sean Combs and also providing money to Sean Combs to pay off those escorts. So they were able to show that you have an employee for the enterprise and an employee that's engaging in criminal activity. So they were able to show it through Brendan Paul. Brendan Paul is also special because we've heard testimony of Sean Combs getting narcotics and giving narcotics out to other people. You heard that by word of mouth. But here you have corroboration in the sense that Brendan Paul was arrested
Okay,
with cocaine
good. Bye,
in his
Mayhem.
possession. So you have corroboration in the sense of physical evidence that's been shown to this jury.
You said earlier you think he kind of helped both sides a little
Right.
bit. How so?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to this case, for RICO conspiracy, I think the predicate acts, they've lost. And if we're talking about drug distribution, I know most people, when they think about it, we were talking about just before we got on, drug distribution is not having large quantities of drugs. You could theoretically just give one little baggie to someone, and that would be distribution. But I think what they
You don't let
attack
people-
here is
they
that
don't
there is
believe
no
that.
criminal enterprise. That this is a company that does music, entertainment, all that.
I don't care about how many people have
having
done it.
loyalty to Sean
They
Combs
just
want
ain't
to
got
make sure
caught.
that he is
So
happy,
that don't
he's
mean
doing
nothing to me. How
that
many
he's not
people?
ruling at the
Ask
direct
Ira
of
Kelly.
individuals
How many
to have
people
this
done got
criminal
caught?
enterprise. Yes,
I mean,
are they getting drugs?
how many
Yes,
people
are they
do it? Just
bribing
because
for
a
the
lot of
deal?
people
It's
do
called
it,
the
a lot of
cartel,
people
but it's
smoke
not that
weed is
connective
illegal.
tissue of the criminal enterprise, and I think that's
What
all
that
they
mean to
fear
me?
have.
The judge brought
Clean
up this
tech?
idea
You ain't
of
clean, you
jury
dirty. You dirty as
instructions
hell.
today. This was as a non-legal
Just
mind,
because
very
a lot of
confusing
people
for
do
me.
it.
He wants the prosecutors to clarify the language on how to understand the drug predicate under the racketeering conspiracy charge. I
It
mean,
just
all of that
shows me
sounds like
why y'all
jumbo to
always
me.
getting
Bernardo,
busted
what
and
does
going to
that
jail
even
and going to
mean? So
prison
interesting enough,
and
the judge made
thinking
a
that somebody
mention
done
if
y'all
he was to
wrong.
put an
Y'all feel
emoji
like
on
y'all
this,
are
it will be
entitled
the
to break the law.
mind-blowing emoji when it comes to these jury instructions.
Everybody
People in
do
the
it. I
courtroom
don't
started
care.
laughing. So I think in terms of the jury instruction, it's going to be difficult for anyone to follow. That's why summations
I
are
don't
very
care.
crucial in explaining to this jury, number one, the instructions of what to do once they get into that deliberation room. Number two, what questions they should ask and what's the purpose of their deliberations. And then number three, break down very easily in terms of the
Oh, hold
it
on.
will be the mind-blowing. I mean, all of that sounds like jumbo to me. Bernardo, what does that even mean? So interesting enough, the judge made a mention that if he was to put an emoji on this, it will be the mind-blowing emoji when it comes to these jury instruction. And of course, people in the courtroom started laughing. So I think in terms of the jury instruction, it's going to be difficult for anyone to follow. That's why summations are very crucial in explaining to this jury, number one, the instructions of what to do once they get into that deliberation room. Number two, what questions they should ask and what's the purpose of their deliberations. And then number three, break down very easily in terms of the racketeering conspiracy. First, was there an enterprise? The enterprise doesn't have to be solely for the purpose of criminal activity. It can also be for a legit purpose. Here you have it. Who are the employees that worked on this enterprise and engaged into criminal activity? Once you establish there's an enterprise, criminal activity, let's talk about the drugs. Each witness that has mentioned some form
absolutely
of
see
drug, either
why
possession
a lot
or
of people
distribution,
go to
or giving
jail.
it to Jane, or giving it to Cassie, or giving it to one of the escorts,
I
or
know
even
why
giving
it's
it to
on
Sean
private.
Combs. List that out for that jury, and then determine there the actual facts and the summary charts and point it out for them. So once you got the enterprise, you got the criminal activity, what are the predicate acts? And just remember, they just have to prove two predicate acts.
Two.
They got it for the drugs, they got it for the kidnapping, they got it for the arson. The forced labor, I don't think so. I think
Oh,
that's the part
shit.
stretch in terms of forced labor.
Yeah,
Look,
they got
everybody
the
gotta
forced
work.
labor.
Everybody's making money, everybody's learning. It's the industry, so I don't think they have it there.
I actually think Paul hurt them when it came to the forced labor because
Yeah,
Paul was
I didn't
talking
like it.
about he was a D1 athlete walk-on. And as an All-American myself, that a walk-on is amazing to me because that person works hard and busts their butt to get onto the Syracuse basketball team and play in the tournament. And now he took that work ethic and worked in Sean Combs' industry. And he
Absolutely
said, yeah,
not.
It was difficult. I stayed up because we were putting out the Love album.
He
but I
said
mean,
that
no,
he
I
did
didn't work
not
this hard. I think
know
I
how
actually
he was
used
gonna
that
stay
to
up,
hurt
and
the forced
he
labor
took medicine.
allegation
Y'all
of the
crazy.
Capricorn Club.
Yeah, I think the strongest forced labor probably would have been under Cassie in the sense of that she's doing more than just putting out music. You were also using her for sex. Again, I think it's a stretch. They just need two predicate acts. I would stick to the kidnapping, I would stick to the arson, and I would stick to the bribery. I'll give you three options.
Can we talk about the Gina of it all, or the lack of Gina, the number
Who's Gina?
3 alleged victim that isn't going to be in court? Why not?
So I think there's been argument that from the prosecution allegations that they haven't been able to get in contact with her, which again is kind of fishy because as a former prosecutor, I had means to be able to get witnesses in the sense I could get a material witness order and I can send my detectives and NYPD to different states and actually put someone into custody and have them dragged into court and appear before the judge and have the judge hold them in custody until the time of their testimony because it can't be trusted that they won't appear here at the time of the date. However, it's different if she's out of the country. If she's out of the country, then your grasp of getting a witness is much more difficult because out of the country, they don't have to honor your subpoena or your order. Defense is probably going to argue missing witness in the sense of where's Gina, because you haven't heard from Gina, that should establish reasonable doubt. Prosecution is going to say, in terms of the charges, Gina's not listed as a victim as to the sex trafficking or transportation to engage in prostitution, so it's not relevant for your deliberations.
I have to ask, Brian, do you think Diddy's going to take the stand, or is this a little bit of a hint that their case is going to be short, that he's not?
So if you're hearing from the defense that their case, they're expecting to begin witnesses one day and then potentially end the next day or the day after, Sean Combs doesn't testify. I don't think Sean Combs was ever going to testify in this case, but for his own ego. I think this is a case where you explain to your client, this isn't about what you know compared to what they know, what you thought or what you believed. No. If you put Sean Combs on the stand, one, I don't know whether or not you can control or know what he's going to say next, or two, you don't want the jury making it a case about, do I believe him or her, him, her, and her? No. You make it about the weaknesses of the government's case, and that's all.
It looks like it's shaping up to be a battle of the experts. The defense is obviously going to call experts. How do you play that out?
So this is, I think, a new age when it comes to sex crimes and trauma. Prior to Harvey Weinstein, we never really saw experts in this field. We often operated based on stereotypes or belief as to why did a victim or alleged victim not come forward earlier? Why did they not do this? Why did they react this way? Now I think we're getting into an area of law where you need experts, and it's going to be, okay, if this person did this, how can we determine whether or not that individual is an actual victim or they are just making it up? And I think you're going to see the defense put on a witness for the lion's share of their case to say what you heard from Dr. Hughes, the expert for the government, that's too wishy-washy. That doesn't make any sense. This is what the standing should follow, and that Cassie, especially, because I think she's the strongest alleged victim in this case, is not a victim at all. Jane, I think they might already have that case in the bag.
We have to talk about this motion for acquittal that the defense filed. Bernardo, do you think they're actually going to get that?
No, not at all. Not at all. When it comes to a motion for acquittal, it's up to the judge is going to say, like, look, there's enough sufficient facts here in terms of he's not determining the credibility of the witnesses, but as long as there's a prima facie case that meets the elements of the charges, he's going to let it go to the jury. It's standard practice for a motion of acquittal. I think here it's fact specific, and the jury is actually the judge of the facts, so it's going to go to the jury, all of these charges.
It's also very hard to win a motion of acquittal. The standard is in the light most favorable to the government. So you have to take all of the facts more favorable to them, and if those favorable facts are still true and correct, doesn't mean that these crimes never happened. That's a high burden and a high standard to get at home.
You're right, Andre.
We saw that workout was in the Russ case.
Now let him go out and go hang out with Mayhem
Brian,
Mama.
Bernardo, always so lovely to have you both. Thank you. Coming up, Combs's former personal assistant took the stand today, so we're going to take a look at what it's like to be a high-profile personal assistant when we come back. Stay with us.
Hi, Turquilla.
When Google Fiber launched 1 gig internet, some people said, what would you even do with that much speed? Then our customers did a whole lot. So we launched 2 gig. I don't even have to think about it.
They said he was too hostile and that he went public and he had been paid.
Welcome back. Over the course of the high-profile trial against hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs, we've heard from several former assistants, including Brendan Paul, who testified today that there was an expectation to make sure Combs was happy. Former assistant Mia also told the jury it was impossible to tell Combs no, saying Puff's authority was above the police. Joining us now is Carrie's son. She spent more than 2 years as a personal assistant for a famous hedge fund billionaire in the Wall Street world. Thank you so much, Carrie, for being here with us. You're on the other side of this job now, but I'm curious, was it what you anticipated it would be? People are so curious. What was this job like?
It was both, exactly as I anticipated and so much more. So going in, I knew that my job would be to provide my boss with anything and everything to help him live his life. And provide just all aspects, support in all aspects, and kind of go above and beyond to make the impossible happen for him. And I related a lot to the, you have to say yes. You're asked to do something. You have to respond instantly. You can't say no, and it's such a all-in, all-consuming, intense job. But I just didn't realize, in hindsight, maybe I probably should have, but I didn't realize exactly what that would entail. Because I think the problem with the role, as an assistant role as it's defined now, it is so nebulous. The job description is, okay, provide your boss with everything, but exactly what does that mean? When I started the job, to try to be very clear about what my role was, I started the job, my boss gave me a job description. It had nearly 100 bullet points of responsibilities. So I tried to just do those 100 bullet points of responsibilities, but some of those bullet points included, willingness to do anything and everything for him and for the company, willingness to put your boss and the company above yourself.
So what does that mean in real life?
Have sex with
What kind
them.
of things were you asked to do?
Say you're say you are in the middle of something and it's Friday night and 11 p.m. and he calls and he needs something. You have to drop what you're doing, maybe get out of bed, go to a computer, VPN.
Is that overtime?
Maybe he's in
That's
my
forced
case,
labor.
asking for something
That's forced
financial,
labor
or
for the
asking
people
him
who don't know.
Or asking for, a
That's forced
flight from
labor.
here to there. You just have to
She didn't get paid for
get
that.
up and do it. It could be getting someone famous, a celebrity on the phone immediately, and so I have to find connections who has that number and kind of get that person on the phone or book vacations. It was a lot of the doing the impossible and making that happen.
What do you think of a personal assistant job now, from this side of it all?
Yes, from
Would
this
you
side
do
of
it
it
again?
I'm at a different stage in my life in which I think I'm unwilling to.
Y'all see,
take
she's
on a
still
job in
pausing.
which
Hold on,
I
she's still
lose
pausing.
myself. Vacations. It was a lot of the doing the impossible and making that happen.
What do you think of a personal assistant job now, from this side of it all?
Yes, from
Would
this
you
side
do
of
it
it all.
again?
She still can't say no.
I'm at a different stage in my life in which I think I'm unwilling to take on a job in which I lose myself. The reason why this
So
kind
would
of
she
job,
go
I
back?
think,
Probably
is-
because she's stalling.
is, I think, just structurally problematic is that there's such a large power imbalance between your boss and you. And, while that might be expected, given, the different levels of wealth and fame and all that,
Fame. Oh, okay.
Of power imbalance. I think all jobs, no matter what job, deserves protections. And I think assistants often don't have enough protections. I think people think that assistants going in should know that this is
A part of it.
intense and grueling job. But I think even in that case, assistants deserve, some protections. And I think the problem is your reality is so warped when you're in kind of a near to power to a boss who is famous and has a lot of money and has a lot of connections, and you quickly don't know left from right, up from down, and sometimes right from wrong.
Thank you so much for being
Right
here
from
with
wrong.
us. Thank
I'm
you so
glad
much
she
for having
said
me
that.
tonight. And thank you for joining us. We'll be back.
Right
with
from
new
wrong.
episodes.
You be so deep up in it that sometimes you don't even know right from wrong. I can see that. I see that with them.
Diddy's co-conspirators could be facing their own criminal case. This is the main question that a lot of people want to know. They want to know, when will Diddy's co-conspirators be charged alongside of him? And now that we're getting to the end of trial, we've heard two co-conspirators, actually called co-conspirators by the government. First one is Diddy's former chief of staff, Christina Quorum, and we have heard her name be brought up so many times. And the second one is Diddy's security, D-Rock. Here the government calls him a co-conspirator.
What lady?
And I want to
Hold on, Andre. What lady you saying stop the cap to? Who you talking about?
One of the things.
Hold on, Andre. Andre Harris. You come to the mic, baby. Andre Harris, come to the office. Come to the T office. Who you talking about? Stop the cap, lady. What lady? It's been a whole bunch of ladies talking. Who you talking to? Who you talking about? Let's be clear. I don't want to make no assumptions. I want to be clear with y'all folk, baby, cause who you talking about, Andre? Come on, come to the office. Oh, the assistant. Okay, baby. Okay. Okay, baby. I thought, okay. But that's, I don't know. I don't know if I think she can, because you got men. The boy Andre, I'm not Andre, Lord, not you. Paul, he said the same thing. He trying to act like he don't think that Diddy did no wrong, and that he didn't think it was against the law. Even when he was doing what he was doing, and he knew that they was prostituting and hoeing up in there. Denny's assistants. Okay, well, let's keep going.
Diddy's co-conspirators could be facing their own criminal case. This is the main question that a lot of people want to know. They want to know, when will Diddy's co-conspirators be charged alongside of him? And now that we're getting to the end of trial, we've heard 2 co-conspirators actually called co-conspirators by the government.
Thank you, Andre.
First
I'm
one
like,
is Diddy's
wait,
former
what?
Chief of Staff, Christina Korm, and we have heard her name be brought up so many times. And the second one is Diddy's security, D-Rock. Here the government calls him a co-conspirator. And I want to break it all down, how these co-conspirators could be charged if Diddy is found guilty. And Diddy's case is very similar to R. Kelly's case without the minors. If you didn't know, R. Kelly was charged and found guilty of the RICO. In R. Kelly's case,
and I don't know why these people be acting like they ain't never heard it before. This is how people be lying.
A criminal enterprise, hence the RICO charge that he was found guilty of. The co-conspirators listed in the R. Kelly case
trying to get
went
out
from
of
bodyguards to personal assistants to drivers to managers. In the R. Kelly case, went of the RICO.
I'm trying to set this up right so I can hurry up and get to it. Baby, he said, I don't want you to see me like this. I got to get up out this jail. I got to get up out this jail. I need some help. I don't want D Puff to see me up in here like this. I don't want to do music with him. I don't want him to know I've been turned all the way out up in this moment. I don't want him to know I came out the closet and I have a whole girlfriend up in here. Let's go.
In R. Kelly's case that was also in the Southern District of New York, they said that R. Kelly ran a criminal enterprise, hence the RICO charge that he was found guilty of. The co-conspirators listed in the R. Kelly case went from bodyguards to personal assistants to drivers to managers and more. Kind of similar to Diddy. They said that R. Kelly would use his fame and stardom and dangle it in front of his victims' faces.
So as L.A. Reid, we hear.
And his co-conspirators used bribery, intimidation, physical violence, and even blackmail upon his victims. And the blackmail was R. Kelly recording these encounters with these victims on camcorders, iPhones, iPads for over 30 years. If you go back and dive into R. Kelly's case, the way he handled the charges being brought against him is exactly how Diddy is handling his case. R. Kelly pleaded not guilty all the way through of the RICO. And he's like, you cannot charge me with RICO. You're only charging me. You have to charge as a criminal enterprise. That didn't work for R. Kelly because R. Kelly was later found guilty of RICO and sentenced 30 years in the Southern District of New York. And this is where the co-conspirators come into play, because if you thought that this is where it ended, no. R. Kelly actually had a whole another case in Chicago after the fact, and this is where they charged co-conspirators. Once R. Kelly was found guilty in the Southern District of New York, they came back and they indicted him on more charges, and they also charged co-conspirators. They charged R. Kelly again in federal court, but this time it wasn't the Southern District of New York, it was the Northern District of Illinois. So after trial, R. Kelly's co-conspirators did get acquitted on all charges, but R. Kelly got found guilty all over again. After R. Kelly was just sentenced 30 years by the Southern District of New York, he was then sentenced
I
to
don't think it had
20
nothing to do with
years in
Ciroc.
the Northern District of Illinois. But 19 of those years will
That
be
may be
served
why they took his
consecutive
hand.
with his New
No.
York sentence, which means he will only have an additional year in prison. Basically, R. Kelly is actually sentenced to 31 years in prison total between the Southern District of New York and Illinois. We don't know for sure if this is what might happen to Diddy's co-conspirators in his case if he's found guilty, but since we saw it happen with R. Kelly's case, it's very likely that this is how they could charge these co-conspirators. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.
I think it has a lot to do with a lot of people. One thing is for sure. Diddy didn't discriminate. He screwed just about everybody. He lied and manipulated just about everybody, and because they all pretty much say the same thing. And I think he screwed over some people who didn't care nothing about none of that. I think Coffee. I think, is that his name? Coffee. I think when he thought he was gonna get away and that he could get on there and say this, that, and the other, and what nothing they gonna do to him. And once he got locked up and jammed up and can't get out, that locked up, they won't let me out. I think he talking. I think he brought up old cases that's gonna come back into play. I think that Jonathan Oddie wanting to talk to the CIA, FBI, ABC. I think other people, when some people may had went and talked to him, and it's so bizarre, you just wouldn't believe it. You just listening to this stuff, you just wouldn't believe it. You would have automatically just kind of dismissed it until too many people, too many dots started connecting. Then the eyes really got on him. People had paper trails and evidence. People had been paid behind the scenes. Didn't nobody know anything about it. And I just think that what did he say? Can't stop, won't stop. I think that's what geared, hey, Peach Gems, will put them eyes on him so intensely. And the more people they talk to, the more they investigate, the more they uncovered. And they was like, this is a whole enterprise. But he thought he was slick. He wasn't he was pimping, but he was pimping the male entertainers, the strippers. He was pimping them. He was paying money, though. He wasn't getting paid for the work, see? So he kind of just switched it. And then he had these, the trafficking, because although we may not look at it as it's trafficking, because he had to have the women in order to pimp the strippers. They just didn't automatically go into it. Now, they came accustomed to it and went along with it, because in our reality, when he said, oh, everybody do it in the industry. If they high up, everybody do it. Jay-Z do it, L.A. Reid do it, Clive do it, everybody do it. And then once you get up there and you start seeing them interacting, he take you to those type of parties, and you be like, oh, well, damn, I guess everybody do it. So then you say, because this is the only way to make it in the industry. I had to do it. He had to do it. She had to do it. Everybody had to do it. Everybody in the club getting tipsy. You know what I'm saying? And so you kind of get sucked off into it, thinking that's just what everybody do. And then it becomes really, really forceful. And then now I don't want to do it no more. Now you realize that's why that girl said she felt like she opened Pandora's box. She started out trying to please her man. Then it became a whole full-time damn job. Well, now I don't want to do it no more. And the minute you start saying you don't want to do it, that's like a streetwalker a hooker saying, and then he go upside their head. Oops, upside their head. Say, oops, upside the head. And then now you realize, oh shit, I'm trapped. Oh, how do I get out of this? Oh, wow, I don't want to do it. And then it becomes just like one of them, the people who done been snatched off the street and taken against their will, and the minute they don't want to do it, they're going to get beat up, drugged up. That's what they do. That's what they keep them juiced up, so that they don't, so anybody could come in one of them little rooms and do what they're going to do and leave. Yeah. Yeah. So, and in their mind, I'm assuming they saying, well, shit, I might as well just make this shit work until I can figure out a way how I'm going to escape. Because how am I finna get out this shit? That's why I tell people, don't play with the devil. Baby, because he'll have you so deep off in there and you won't know how to get out. And I think that's what happened.
We bring you fun with a kick. Kansas City, Kansas is the place for kick and excitement.
Everybody doing it. Everybody doing it. And then when you listen to L.A. Reid, Russell Simmons, all of them, and you hear L.A. they saying the same stuff. Big Joe's, the people saying the same stuff. They not. The victims ain't nowhere near each other. They don't even know each other. But their stories are absolutely the same. And then one would say, they just saying that because they hear somebody else saying, no, these people don't know each other. But the rappers do. The rappers know each other. Because they don't talk. That's why Ye said, you taught me everything I know. And then his wife walking around, I got her too. Let me show her walking around. Hold on before I go into the instructions. Baby, them instructions is going to be, baby, if you think, where I pin her at? If you think you finna try to throw the jury, ain't no way. It's just ain't no way. It's a wrap for him. Where is this girl at? She way down here. And he said he taught him everything he know. And then he messed around. Where did I pin that? Oh, it's over here. And he walk around with a, baby, this, oh my God. And you would think Hollywood would have more class and coupe. Bo Griffin, bye. People were drugged. It was laced. And if the bodyguards and all these people can tell you it was, then why would you come over here and say that, bye, let me get you out of here. It's too late for me to deal with that. Come back another day when you talking like you got some sense. Bo Griffin, I can't do you, boo-boo. Did I remove you for? I'm going to see if you can come back and have some sense. I didn't put you out long enough, but if you come back with that foolishness, you out of here. I just, because you give me predator vibes. When men come over here talking like that means to me that you take cookies. That means you have integrity. So he come over here talking about Diddy taught him everything he know and how to pick a wife. Bye, Gingy. We so far off into it. I'm not finna try to explain that to y'all. I'm not gonna do that. Y'all predators. Y'all predators. I don't deal with predators. If you're a predator and you don't understand, no means no. Even if I come back, it still means no. It still means no. It don't change the fact that it's still a no. Okay? So here this fool talking about Diddy taught him everything he know. I love you, Diddy. I love you. And then his wife walking down the street, Diddy taught him how to go get this right here, and she gonna do every and any and everything you want her to do. 50 Cent called Kanye West wife dirty for walking around NYC in her candy. He said she'll be claiming victim soon. I can see that. Can y'all see that? She will be called saying that she was groomed before it's all said and done. Okay, let me go over here to these instructions. Let's go. These instructions may be giving him life, y'all. He may be getting life. Them baby, if they gonna break it down like this here. Come on.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Shout out to Tisa.
Hey, listen, we gotta get into this. The jury instructions just dropped. The jury verdict instructions just dropped. I was a little under the weather today, but I still decided to come out and actually celebrate. You guys, prosecution has 100% proven their case. We have the jury instruction. Let me see if I get some light in here.
Let me see if I
We
can
have
get
some
you over
jury
here.
instructions to actually share with you guys, right?
Hold on, let me get
Excuse
you
me,
over
I've
here,
been sick,
Tisa.
but I'm up.
Shout out to Tisa. She got them jury instructions. Let's hear how the judge gonna lay it out so they not gonna be able to play. Baby, all that shaking his head, nodding, hitting his hands on the table, blinking 4 times, coughing, standing up, yawning, all of that. They gonna tap into it, baby, so you ain't gonna be able to sway. So whoever you done paid, you paid for jury number 7. That's why. Now number 8, you paid for 8. You wanted them to remove. You paid for 6 and 8. You paid for 6 and 8, and you tried to get 7 up out of that. 7, 7, 7, 9, 3, 11. And the judge said, no. Verdict. Okay, here we go.
I'm up, okay? We have some jury instructions sent to you guys, but it is proven 100% that the prosecution has 100% proven their case when it comes to Sean Diddy Combs. And on top of that, Diddy's team tried some slick mess. The prosecution, Maureen Comey, came back and said, nah, not on my watch. So let's get into this because
let's go, Tisa.
Let me tell you something. Okay, I even took notes for this. It is so good. We have the jury instructions, the verdict instructions. We are going to go through them. We're also going to line up on how this is, but we're also going to talk about the legal finesse that Diddy's team tried to do that just actually fell flat. Okay, so where do we start? What do y'all want to see first? What do y'all want to say? This is all Diddy legally grasping for straws, okay?
Grasping for him. He know his ass is out of here.
Because I know some of y'all don't like to stay here for the whole 2-hour live.
Oh, no,
yes,
but
I'm doing this live off of my sick bed, so you welcome, okay? So
thank you, Tisa.
Okay, the guys. This is the jury verdict instructions.
That's Sharice.
The instructions are rules that the judge gives the jury on how to decide the case. All right. Now listen. These are the first instructions that Diddy actually showed. 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to take my camera down real quick, and I'm going to put these jury instructions off on whatever. You get the point. Hold on. So these are the jury instructions. Just give me 1 second, okay? Give me 1 second to get through these jury instructions. Here I am. I'll be back on in a second, right? But at the end of the day, this is what they actually wanted. Now, why is this so interesting? Well, because it needs to be said, where's little me? Little me? Is that me? No? Hold on a second. No, that's not me either. Put that down. Hold on 1 second. Give me a second.
Take your time. Take your time, child.
Okay. So let's get into this, right? These jury instructions. So this is what Diddy first tried to submit. Now, everybody was laughing at them because they said the defendant, Sean Combs, through his undersigned attorneys, respectfully submit these additional requests to charge the jury. Now, you know Maureen Comey, Emily, and the prosecution 6 came and clapped back, but it doesn't mean that Diddy didn't try, okay? So the first thing he wanted was an additional request for number 1, okay? Now, let me just go through this really quickly. I'll give y'all the summary, and then we're going to see how they actually played themselves. Again, it is for certain that Diddy walked into the prosecution's trap, and he is 100% going to be found guilty, and not just on one thing, because they made a trap through these instructions that the jury can't get out of. But more importantly, Diddy's team kind of painted themselves in a corner where the only thing left was appeal, okay? The first thing that they actually said was, about the immunized witnesses, okay? He wanted everybody to know with these immunized witnesses that
Hi, Vanessa.
you heard the testimony of the witnesses who's testified under the grant of immunity from this court. What this means is that the testimony of the witness may not be used against him in any criminal case.
You
except
crazy.
for prosecution for perjury, giving a false statement, and otherwise failing to comply with the immunity order of this court. You're instructed that the government is entitled to call as a witness a person who is granted immunity. Let's skip through this. However, the testimony of a witness who has been granted immunity should be examined by you with greater care than the testimony of an ordinary witness. You should scrutinize it closely to determine whether or not it colored in such a way as to place guilt upon the defendant in order to further its own interests, such as a witness confronted with the realization that he can win his own freedom by helping to convict another has a motive to falsify his testimony. Such testimony should be scrutinized by you. This is what Diddy is saying to the jury. By you with great care, and should act upon it with great caution. Okay, first of all, that is their first proposed jury verdict instruction. They're giving this to the judge, and the judge is going to wrap it up and actually give it. Now, everybody with a brain knows they are not going to get that. Why? Because it shows how desperate they are. You are literally trying to have a closing statement in your opening instruction. Now, to be clear, right? Diddy can propose anything he wants, but the judge is not going to lose them. Why? Because the first thing off the bat is a legal overreach, okay? You're trying to say with immunized witnesses that they have a motive to lie. Okay? First of all, it's legally inaccurate for the Southern District of New York precedent what immunized witnesses actually are. And it's going to be rejected or replaced with the prosecution's version. And the prosecution doesn't have a version, okay? So already off the bat, they're trying to plant doubt
Smash
in the
90.
jury's mind, okay? This is what Diddy wants to do. This is fresh off of the court document. They are demanding that the judge basically say, and again, they are just fleecing Diddy. They're demanding that the judge basically say that, oh, well, guess what? You know what? Since they're immunized and they're supposed to tell the truth, you need to look at them extra closely because they might be lying. Why? Because they have a motive to falsify their testimony. It is 100% not going to work, but hey, Diddy is willing to try anything he can. But again, this is expected to be rejected because it is unconstitutional to actually put this in jury. You cannot imply, you cannot have closing arguments. All you can do is instruct and clarify. To say this person might have a motive to lie, look into it, just goes to prove. And the prosecution actually said in their rebuttal, what the hell are y'all talking about? This is straight up illegal. Now, why did they put this in? I'll tell you why. Remember when Mark Agnifilio said, yeah, I know my client has 50 million reasons. Well, guess what? Diddy's team has 20 million reasons. Diddy is paying them to work. They just can't act like they're nothing. They're throwing Hail Marys at the wall, and they're doing what they can do. Now, the defense additional request number 2, right? Specific investigative techniques. During the trial, you may have heard testimony of witnesses in an argument by counsel that the government did not utilize specific investigative techniques. You may consider these facts in deciding whether the government has met its burden of proof. Because as I told you, you should look at all evidence or lack of evidence in deciding whether
Look at lack of
is guilty.
evidence.
However, you're also instructed there is no legal requirement that the government use any of these specific investigative techniques to prove its case. Law enforcement techniques are not your concern. Your concern, as I said, is to determine whether or not the evidence or lack of evidence of the defendant's guilt has been proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Again, this is actually expected to be rejected too. Why? Because what the hell are y'all talking about? You are literally trying to plant a seed of doubt in the jury's mind as to whether the government used correct investigative techniques. There was one cross-examination when Tinny Garagos was asking dumb questions. Oh, so you didn't look? Did you look?
Lack of nothing,
Did you look
people.
and make sure? And the girl was like, what are you talking about? My job. Yeah, and the guy also was like, what are you talking about? Our job was to make charts. Our job is once the unit secured all their guns, we went and like took pictures. Oh, but you guys, but Mark Agnafilio, did you bother for the sweeping unit? Did you bother to take pictures? And they were like, no, we never take pictures. We have raided Pablo Escobar's property. And they go in first to secure and make sure all firearms are secured. And then after that,
he too far gone for that.
They take all
he should have did that a long time ago.
They lay them out. Whatever. They spent 2 hours. But did you bother to take pictures? Tinny Guerra goes, oh, so you didn't bother to check these messages? And the girl was like, no, my job is to take the messages that are given to me and match them to hotel receipts. But did you see?
Yeah.
Did you see these text messages where Jane was saying, oh, I miss you too, I'll see you soon?
And need to
they
be
were
baptized in the holy water instead of baby oil.
Any of
He had that tub to baptize them in
receipts with air travel, with Uber receipts.
Once you go down,
the city, like we're not
one for Puff,
one
for Sean, one for Diddy.
Or not. And also because we didn't even
and
know
you come up a full-fledged freak.
Why are they putting this instruction in?
Baptized in baby oil.
Know, right? Hold on, y'all. They want us to know 100% that the government didn't utilize specific techniques. Again, it's not going
Why
to
didn't
work.
he
This is
object?
expected to be rejected, but this is what they're asking. Defense additional request number 3. Let me just get through this and then we're going to get to the actual verdict instructions that the prosecution set forth. And baby, they have ended Diddy's team. Okay? So here's the thing, right? The specific investigation techniques, the legal function, right, is to tell the jury to consider missing investigative tactics. Again, they're trying to suggest a sloppy or a biased investigation. We already know that last time they tried to suggest this in court, the judge knocked it out, okay? Now, you guys, this is their first proposal. Let me get through this quickly, because when you see the second proposal, they have a second proposal they just dropped like 20 minutes ago. You will see how they are playing in our faces, okay? Defendant's testimony. Okay? Now, this is only if Diddy testifies, they want this included. The defendant in a criminal case never has any duty to testify or come forward with any evidence. This is because, as I've told you, the burden of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt, and it remains on the government at all times and the defendant to be presumed innocent. That burden remains with the government throughout the entire trial, never shifts to a defendant. A defendant is never required to prove that he is innocent. This is true, right? But, again, you are making an argument that happens at the end of trial, okay? In this case, the defendant did not testify and he was subject to cross-examination like any, the defendant did testify and he was subject to cross-examination like any other witness. You should examine and evaluate his testimony as you would the testimony of any other witness, okay? Now, listen. This is telling the jury to treat Diddy's testimony equally. It humanizes him. Now, to be fair, this is a standard instruction, just like the next one is if he does not testify. Therefore, you must not attach any significance to the fact that the given defendant did not testify. No adverse inference against the defendant may be drawn by you because he or she did not take the witness stand. You may consider this as a way of, okay, that's standard. That's going to get in there, right? But here's where it becomes really, really weird. They had this voluntary intoxication thing, which is Diddy basically saying this is not my fault. They said there's been evidence that the Diddy may have been intoxicated at the time of the offense with which he was charged. Intoxication or drunkenness in itself is not a legal defense to a criminal charge. However, intoxication or drunkenness may negate the existence of the defendant's intent to commit the crime that the government must prove in order to convict. On the evidence before you, if you find that Diddy was intoxicated, you may conclude that Diddy did not have the required intent described earlier. On the other hand, even if you believe that Diddy was intoxicated to some degree, you may still conclude he's capable of the required intent. After considering all the evidence, if you find the government has established each of the elements beyond a reasonable doubt, then you may find the defendant guilty. On the other hand, if the government has failed to meet this burden beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant.
Style and substance. In the GMC Sierra, or current eligible GMC owners get 0% APR with a total value of over $11,000 on this Sierra 1500 model.
As we live in a digital-first world, so much of our collaboration is digital. For us, high-speed internet allows people to have a very...
Not guilty. Now, here's the thing, right? This 6 requests, let's look at what he actually wrote. If you find that Diddy was intoxicated, you may conclude that he did not have the required intent.
So you can get away with...
The prosecutors wrote a response to this. They were not having it. In their response, they literally said, no evidence shows Diddy was drunk the entire time he was committing these crimes over multiple years. You don't get to blame sex trafficking on being tipsy. Again, Diddy is out here trying to argue, I was too drunk to commit federal level felony crimes for over a decade. This is not a defense, especially because the judge is likely to reject it, because that means you were intoxicated while you were performing at shows, doing the Bad Boy reunion, building a billion-dollar company. Remember you said, oh, we're not a RICO, but then when were you not high or drunk? It is impossible to argue that you were not sober for over 10 years. They are saying that the request number 6 is 100% going to be rejected. But hold on, this is the first set of jury instructions, and then they just did a last-minute proposal, but you have to see the last-minute proposal before we get into anything else, okay? Now, the defense additional request for number 7, right? There's been evidence presented. There has been evidence presented regarding large quantities of cash. There's nothing unlawful about possessing large amounts of cash, and it's not a crime to keep large amounts of cash. Now, you guys, this is 100% going to be rejected. Why? Because you are literally trying to say bulk cash isn't illegal. While this is true in isolation, it feels like a closing argument defending suspicious facts. You don't get to make a closing argument in the jury instructions, okay? The request number 8 is crimes defined by statute only. The fact that you think certain conduct is unethical or morally wrong is truly of no consequences in this case. This is a huge, huge, huge overreach. They're literally saying that just because something is wrong doesn't make it a crime. He's basically asking, so what if I'm morally bankrupt, but that doesn't mean I'm legally clean? Again, they're trying to do Jedi mind tricks to trick this jury, saying basically don't believe your lying eyes, okay? It's giving legal gaslight. On top of this, this is another closing argument. It is an overreach. You don't get to remind people that just because you have to go by the crimes defined by the statute over. It really doesn't make sense. Hold on really quick. I had, listen, and again, I know what some people might be thinking, why this sounds neutral on the surface. It's coded to plant the idea that bad behavior isn't necessarily criminal. Again, this is another argument, not instruction. Now, here's the real big thing, right? The RICO case. They literally said that he's not in the RICO anymore by the statute of limitations. They said count 1 has a 5-year statute of limitations. Therefore, you must determine whether the RICO conspiracy charged in count 1 and the defendant's participation in the charged conspiracy continued beyond September 12, 2019. Even If you find that the charged enterprise existed beyond that date, you must be satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that Diddy knowingly participated in the charged RICO conspiracy of count 1 beyond September 12th. Okay? Now, Diddy's team is trying to claim the only way to stop a RICO is to claim that you left the RICO. So interesting enough, they're saying, listen, Cassie might be a RICO. Cassie might be sex trafficking. Cassie might be everything that Capricorn Card, Carrie, Mia, Kid Cudi, everything that everybody testified might have happened. But the statute of limitations ran out on September 12th, 2019. So because of that, oddly enough, Diddy is, I just want to talk about September 12th, Diddy is oddly enough trying to say that the Cassie was a hoe defense. And again, Cassie is not a hoe, but that's a dumb defense that Diddy and his incel army is trying to make, right? And the man-identified women that are holding him up are trying to make. However, by doing this, Diddy admits that him and Cassie broke up on September 12th, 2019, not the November that he was claiming happened with Alex and the overlap. He's admitting that. Now, hear me out, right? They're trying to say, by saying that even if you found him guilty, everything ended on September 12th, 2019. That means that they're trying to say that Cassie was the only real victim. And when it comes to the stuff with Jaden, that doesn't count because that's not part of RICO. That's something different. That's boyfriend-girlfriend behavior, okay? I don't know whose boyfriend is saying you better take this effing pill and you better
Yeah, you know what, Henry? It is that he would use his own kind and put them in these type of predicaments. Have people breaking laws.
Once you're in a conspiracy,
drugging them,
you stay in it until you
all of
prove
that.
You were
It's a dirty dog shame that
Diddy done that. There is no clean,
would do
great,
that
clean walk
because he have erectile dysfunction.
Shoulders. And under the eyes of the law, if you are involved in a conspiracy, so let me just.
That's a dirty dog shame. I hope he don't never get a hold of nobody in your family.
And we meet a couple of times at the local Starbucks, and you show me like Ocean's 11. The outline to the bank, you show me this.
Yeah, I think and I'm like, I think it's awful that he did this.
And on the third time I go home and I say, you know what?
Type of stuff to these young folks.
I don't want to rob that bank. So what do I do?
Because he had a sick addiction. And you know what's funny? Because he sit up there and talked about his own stuff being disgusting, and you sitting over here making excuses for him. What does that say for you? You have integrity problems, don't you?
Right?
You got integrity problems, Henry? Because at least he said it was disgusting. What he did was he admitted to it. And here your foul ass is coming over here making excuses for him. So you have that predator mindset too then, don't you? He said, I'm disgusted. But Henry said, I'm good, but I'm good. Get your ass from over here. You're a predator too. Bye, Henry. Bye. Anybody come over here make excuses for him? Even after he said he was awful. I need help. But y'all trifling asses come over here saying it's somebody else's fault. It took too long for them to report it. No, but he said he was disgusted. But no, you're going to make excuses for him anyway. That's that bros before O's type stuff. So you down with it too. Yeah. You're a freakazoid just like him. This ain't the place for you. It ain't safe over here for you. Because I'm going to eat that ass up. Oh, but you don't like females. You won't Diddy to eat that ass.
Too, because there's a thing.
Okay, I got it. Bye. Let me make sure you gone so you won't come back and try to say something. Because you know I cannot deal with monsters. Oh, you gone? Yeah, hide me. Yeah, bye. Don't ever come back over here. I do not do predators.
Thing called felony
First, we offer overnight boarding. Your pet will stay overnight in your sitter's home and not only be treated like part
Jamal,
of the
here we
family,
go.
but treated
Who's
like
our
a king
woo?
or queen.
Hi. Let's go. Let's see how this work out.
I think that's what it's called. So if you commit a murder in a felony and it's part of a conspiracy, then everybody that got
caught with you
are all responsible.
Absolutely.
So everybody that was a part of the conspiracy to rob the bank,
everybody
has that felony murder charge, and you will all be put on trial for felony.
Even the person at the door and
Now,
the person who
a lot of
drove.
people have argued
Absolutely.
that whole rule is unjust, but it is RICO. So let's get
Absolutely.
back to you and me.
Everybody.
I left you on red. I didn't go. I'm out of it. When the police come and arrest me, I'm like, yo, no. I'm not part of it. But all you need to do for a conspiracy is to conspire and to take one step forward, one actual step toward the conspiracy. That one actual step further could have been me meeting you in Starbucks for a couple times and you showing me the maps of the bank and all this other stuff. The fact that I woke up one day and I decided just not to do it anymore, that's not
I pick R.
You must, one,
LD.
inform your co-conspirators, I am
KL.
not involved. And then you must do something else. Then,
Kaylee.
after you do that, you must do something else. You must inform, hold on y'all, you must inform the police or any type of, police, any type of authorities
of what's going on.
In
Absolutely.
the conspiracy, and tell them I am no longer a part of the conspiracy, and also alert the authorities.
Absolutely.
That is how you leave a conspiracy. If you do not do that, then you will be a part of that conspiracy.
Absolutely. Do y'all understand that? Just because you left,
good or bad,
and
will be attributed to you.
Yeah. Do y'all understand that? Cause see, I need for y'all to, I need to break that down because y'all think one way and y'all understand the law. Oh, well, I left. Yeah, but did you let somebody know that you had left? Cause we got evidence that you was a part of it. Did you notify us that you came to your senses? And I just realized that, no, I didn't realize how deep I was involved. I realized that this is just not who, I am. I wasn't raised like this. And I got out and I just needed to tell y'all what's going on. That's how you leave a enterprise or remove yourself from a conspiracy. Just leaving, that don't mean the evidence gonna go away that they already have against the enterprise. You didn't come to them and tell it. So you didn't, well, that's snitching. Absolutely. And if you didn't snitch while you on your way out, then once these charges come back, we're going to bring your non-snitching ass in with the conspiracy. That's just how that is. But you can't do that. Yes, you can. Because you were a part of the conspiracy. And you leaving do not erase all the dirt that was done when you was in there. Y'all better stop, because the way y'all think, the way y'all move, I understand again why they always can bust y'all, trip y'all up, and y'all go to jail for a long period of time. I see why. And now they at the point, I need for y'all to be clear. They're at the point now, especially after Diddy, they don't even want y'all money. Y'all this heavy off into this stuff, and it's been going on for a while, and this is what Suge Knight was trying to say. You are not the only one. Put it on out there. Get them way up there that came before you. Get the ones who did it to you that's still alive. Yeah, that's what he's trying to tell him on the cool. I wonder is L.A. Reid, I know he can't say nothing because he have a slew of people behind him, male and female. But let's go. And when is L.A. Reid? September?
Because he woke up one day and decided, I'm not going to do any more free calls. I'm just going to have Jane in the house. That's not enough to withdraw from the conspiracy. Again, this is very, very thin legal ice. It's the equivalent of saying Yeah, I was in the mob, but I quit before it got too hot. Nah.
Can't do
You're
that.
in the game until you prove otherwise. And there is zero proof that Diddy ever abandoned that conspiracy. Okay? So these are the actual legal arguments and the takeaway. Okay?
Hell,
this is
only
what's
one that
going
seemed like
on,
they
just to run
really
it down
just
really
left.
quick.
Let's see. Oh, that the is his name James? One of them assistants who saw how Cassie was being handled. Cassie stayed a long time, but once she got out, she was out. Jane didn't get out. Hell, he just got arrested. She was ride or die once she was in, and it looked like Brendan Paul, he would have still been in if he didn't get arrested. So it's the last, them last ones would have still been actively involved. What's the one? Hell, he fired him, and he still came back. What you mean? Yes, my name is James. Oh yeah, he fired him and he came back. I mean, so it wasn't just a male thing. I mean, a female thing. Hell, the males and females would get fired or leave and come back. So somebody asked me that stupid stuff earlier, or why they come back. Hell, why did Brandon Paul come back? He got fired for not bringing a purse, a bag, or whatever. Yeah.
Right? Again, why are they saying about the immunized witnesses that they want that in? That's just to undermine the government's key cooperating witnesses. The specific investigative techniques they want included, that's to suggest sloppy or biased investigation. Evidence from searches or seizures, that's a normalized, shady seeming evidence like device 1. That's where Diddy had the actual obstruction of justice. Defendant's testimony, it's supposed to humanize him. Also, the right not to testify, I mean, that's standard, right? Silence does not equal guilt. Voluntary intoxication is to create doubt about intent because you need to have the mens rea. The mens rea is the mind. Also, the bulk cash. Defendants against optics of wealth equals guilt, and the crimes must be statutory to confuse jury and to muddy the waters. And the RICO statute of limitations is to create a technical escape hatch. Okay, out of all of this, the only ones that every legal expert is saying the judge will include in some way is the evidence from search and seizures, defendant's testimony, if he does, and defendant's right not to testify, okay? The specific investigative techniques, it's going to have to be rewritten if they allow it, but they basically said out of all those jury instructions, only 2 will be allowed, maybe 3, and they're all going to be the standard. Now, okay, so y'all see what's going on with that, but get a load of this, right? Because I know what you're saying. Listen, Tisa, we got it, right? You know, I'm going to beat a dead horse. But look what we have here. Diddy's team, and a shocking thing, just submitted a last-minute jury instruction. And look at this. So you saw what they first put out, right? Now look at this one. Count 1, racketeering conspiracy. Do you find the defendant not guilty or guilty? Count 2. Do you find the defendant not guilty or guilty for sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura? Count 3, Mann Act transportation. How do you find the defendant? Guilty or not guilty? This is submitted by Diddy's team. It's in stark contrast from what they were doing before. Count 4. How do you find the defendant? Guilty or not guilty for sex trafficking of Jade? Count 5. Mann Act transportation of Jade. How do you find guilty or not guilty? Now you might be sitting there and being like, this doesn't make any sense. How can this be so night and day? Well, I did a little research and we found it out, right? Because here's the thing, okay?
Let's go.
Why did the Diddy's team go from long instructions to a straight yes, no verdict street? Because The big arguments are buried inside jury instructions to a bare bones verdict sheet that suggests guilty or not guilty. It's not by accident, you guys. This is literally strategy. It's called keep it vague, 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 and create wiggle room. They are trying to avoid, even though they have all these verdict instructions that are like looming, and now they put these instructions that are just straight yes, no. It doesn't make any sense because look at the prosecutions, right? Hold on. Look at the prosecution's instructions. Baby, they have paragraphs underneath. Do you think it's proven or not proven? And we're going to get into those in a second, right? But look at the prosecution's instructions. And then look at the defenses, right? Why? Do you find them guilty or not guilty? Again, what is the thing? The government's verdict sheet asks jurors to check off exact crimes tied to RICO. Let me pull it up for you. Here's their verdict sheet. They are asking for people to check off exact crimes. Exact crimes. Look at this. If you found the defendant guilty of count 1, please indicate whether the pattern of racketeering activity the defendant agreed to would be committed involving kidnapping attempted. Look at all this. This is their instructions.
Hold on, let me make sure.
As opposed to the defense.
Are y'all able to see that?
We have it bare bones. Again, let's get into why.
Guilty of all
let's
counts.
get into why. Now the government.
Hold on. I had to step away. Let me.
Here's their verdict sheet. They are asking for people to check off.
Proven, not proven.
Exact crimes. Exact crimes. Look at this. If you found the defendant guilty of count 1, please indicate whether the pattern of racketeering activity the defendant agreed to would be committed involving kidnapping attempted. Look at all this. This is their instructions. As opposed to the defense.
However, hey, Diane.
Who literally have it bare bones. Again, let's get into why. Let's get into why. Now the government's verdict sheet asks jurors to check off exact crimes tied to RICO. Sex trafficking, forced labor, drugs, arson, etc. Why? Because this locks in factual findings. This supports future sentencing enhancements. Yes. So when Diddy goes to actually be sentenced, because he will be found guilty, when he goes to be actually sentenced, it's actually enhancing. Those things that are 20 years to life, it forces the judge to move it up closer to life. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it helps survive appeals. But the defense verdict sheet avoids that entirely. Why? Because if Diddy is found guilty, they don't want the jury tied to why. They are playing a game. The less detailed the verdict, the more room that Diddy's team has for arguing general guilt without specific acts and avoiding mandatory enhancements, such as if sex trafficking is proven under federal law, you must mandatory enhance or add time to the sentence. Okay? By removing this detailed breakdown, and let me just go into the defense. By removing the detailed breakdown, right? Like, did he traffic Cassie? The defense is playing into jury fatigue and also jury sympathy. Saying, do you really want to say this man is committed to all that? Or are you just unsure and tired? The simplified form lets one or two sympathetic jurors block a unified finding of specific crimes, even if they agree on general guilt. Again, they are trying to stack this so that any jurors that Diddy might have been nodding to, and any jurors that might have been filling Diddy's flow, they now, right? They now have an excuse to convict on vibes. Now, where that happened, we will see, but they 100% have an excuse to convict on vibes. Now, hold on, y'all. Let's get into this, right? They're also buying appeal chips. If the government's detailed sheet is accepted, let's go to the government's sheet again, just so you guys can see night and day. This is what the government is asking. If the government's detailed sheet is accepted and the jury checks yes to trafficking Jane and Cassie, that's huge. But the defense version is used. If the defense version is used, and it won't be, and then the jury says guilty on count 1 RICO, then Diddy's team can later argue later on appeal There was no unanimous finding of which acts were involved. This conviction is totally unstable. So the less specific and more flexible they are, that they stay with these instructions, and the more vague, the more chance they actually have of getting that appeal. Now, here's the thing. The prosecution wants to lock in every crime with a receipts folder. Diddy's team wants it to be super, super vague. Just enough for any type of doubt to skate in. There's been a huge difference legally between this man did X, Y, and Z to Cassie and Jane to, maybe he did something bad. The stripped down form isn't a legal defense. It is a Hail Mary in its appeal. Now, why is it a Hail Mary? Because Judge Aaron has been jealously guarding this case. When I say jealously, just extra cautiously guarding this case from being appealed. He wants to make sure that there is no error and nothing will be appealed. But by doing this, okay, he did pretty much ensure that Diddy's stupid yes or no jury questions that they have set up, because in his mind, he's like, that's all he needs to do, and then they can get into appeal. Again, why are they doing this? Well, one, it doesn't hurt to try. But two, I believe they're doing this because this is what Diddy is actually paying them for, to sell him dreams that are going to turn into nightmares. Now look at this, right? Remember when I said that the prosecution is not going to let these jurors just convict on vibes? No prosecution does. Because if you convict on vibes, you can get a nullification, you can get a mistrial, but more importantly, nullification is where they look at the jury and they're like, there's no way, given the facts, that any reasonable person would have decided that person is guilty. It's like if I can prove I was in Kathmandu and there was a murking in New York City and I was in Kathmandu and can prove it, if the jury comes back and say, T says guilty, I can literally be like, I want a jury nullification. There's no way that based off of the evidence that they can say that I actually did this, okay? But there's also something about the appeals process. By the prosecution, with their verdict sheet being so detailed, it eliminates Diddy's team saying, well, we don't really know. I don't think the jury knew what they're convicting on. Did they really say it was RICO, or did they just think it was guilty? Listen to this. If you have found the defendant guilty of count 1, then please indicate whether the pattern of racketeering activity that the defendant agreed upon will be committed involving kidnapping, including attempted kidnapping, aiding and abetting kidnapping, or conspiracy to commit kidnapping in violation of California law. That is with the Capricorn Clark. They want to know specifically what the jury ruled on with Capricorn Clark, and also when Diddy held Cassie against her will in the hotel when her face was busted up, and also against her will when he tried to drag her back to the freak-off. If you found the defendant guilty on, please indicate whether the pattern of racketeering activity that the defendant agreed would be committed involving kidnapping, including attempted kidnapping, aiding and abetting kidnapping, and conspiracy to commit. Again, this is sample. Remember I said there's a kidnapping charge for Capricorn? That's A. Kidnapping for Cassie, that is B. Again, some of y'all might be saying, but Tisa, it says up front, how do you find the defendant with respect to count 1? It says guilty or not guilty, okay? However, the way the jury verdict sheet, so they do the A, B, and C first before they finish the guilty or not guilty. And get this, it's meant to get the jury talking. For the people that want to convict on vibes or convict on it or off of vibes if he's not guilty or guilty. Because if I go in there and I'm like, yo, this mofo's guilty, I'm going to check that off. And then for the people that check off guilty, like, okay, if you found that, what do you find for this count? What do you find for this count? What do you find for this count? Okay, but it also opens up the discussion with the other juries. The people that checked, he's not guilty. The people that checked guilty be like, girl, what you mean? He's not guilty. Do you not remember this? Do you not remember this? Do you not remember this? How could you say that? And it gets the jury going. It gets conversation started. It gets arguments started. But also, if there's a hung jury, they know exactly what points were hung. Because you might think that he is not guilty, but you can't say that none of this stuff happened. So what exactly are you saying you didn't see proof of? Are you saying you didn't see proof of the kidnapping, aiding and abetting kidnapping? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that? Are you saying that the RICO, that the defendant?
Even a life that's rich with meaning can take an unexpected turn. And when life brings you change, we have over 100 years
They
of
setting it
navigating
up.
market ups and downs. to
They
help
are
guide you
absolutely
with
setting it up
confidence.
so that they can't come with none of that frackanacka bull. All them
Google
different
Fiber launched 1
games
gig
and type of
internet,
stuff.
some people said,
Mm-mm.
what would you even do with that much
And then
speed?
if they start doing a whole bunch of deliberating, or like they having a hard time, the judge is gonna ask them, okay, so do y'all have some questions? Where are y'all getting stuck? And let me see if I can help y'all. Da 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 da. They are absolutely setting it up. There ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. And you don't have to say which one. I mean, I'm just saying, if whoever, like attempted kidnapping involved, they have it wrapped around every slightly indication. The fact that he was on that man's property when his car was blown up. That he may not, but he was a part of the conspiracy because he was there. He out of here. He out of here. Yeah, he out of here. So when they talk about conspiracy, you don't have to be the one that actually threw it in there. Were you a part of it? Did you threaten to do it? Were you what bad boy? What? The police saw the car? Twice? Oh, okay. So that means he was a part of the conspiracy. Guilty. Come on, let's go. And remember, all they need is two. Did he ask anybody to repay the money? We don't want to play that because they done brought that evidence. They was trying to hide evidence behind even admitting that. They knew that they wasn't gonna be able to win this case. They were paid millions to try to manipulate and use propaganda to throw off the facts. Bottom line.
Okay? But it also opens up the discussion with the other juries. The people that checked, he's not guilty. The people that checked guilty be like, girl, what you mean? He's not guilty. Do you not remember this? Do you not remember this?
Absolutely.
Do you not remember this? How could you say that? And it gets the jury going. It gets conversation started.
And then if they play that game, they know their ass can be. Hold on, let me stop.
They know exactly.
And at this point, you know that they not playing with you, and they will replace your ass even at that point when they found if they realize that you are intentionally trying to throw the case. Then they will replace you with how many more alternates they have? They didn't get rid of 7. Yeah.
What points were hung? Because you might think that he is not guilty, but you can't say that none of this stuff happened. So what exactly are you saying you didn't see proof of?
Absolutely.
Are you saying you didn't see proof of the kidnapping?
Was you paying attention?
Kidnapping? Because
Hi, Gregory.
Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that? Are you saying that the RICO, that the defendant?
So then you be like, okay, then you know.
Are you saying that the RICO?
You know you can perjure yourself. So you saying that you didn't see this? Do we need to go over that and show it to you? I mean, were you paying attention? Were you sleepy? Did you fall asleep? What? Because if we didn't show it to you with A, B, and C, we showed it with you with E, F, and G. Yes, you can't say everything was in one person. No, we positioned it until it was all over the place, up and down the block and around the corner. It ain't no way out of it. Oh, well, yeah. And there's more cases coming.
RICO that the defendant agreed would be committed involved arson. Didn't involve arson, attempted arson, including aiding and abetting. Are you saying you didn't see that?
Attempt?
Right?
Oh, okay.
Are you saying that you did not see? You don't believe he did any bribery, attempted bribery, aiding and abetting bribery, or conspiracy? Again, the arson, obviously, the Kid Cudi, the bribery, Eddie Garcia. They have text messages, phone calls, paper bags. They even have pictures of IDs that were sent. They have an NDA. They have an NDA. Diddy trying to be so slick. There is an NDA under Combs Global saying you have given all evidence. They have text messages of KK being like, just tell them they were having a fun, drunken night. And the assistant, Diddy's current assistant, I think his name was Eli. The past one was like, well, they're not buying it. Before KK and Diddy reached out to Eddie Garcia without even him giving the number. They found his number. Again, do you see how these jurors, even if they are falling for Diddy's nodding, do you see how the letter of the law and also peer pressure makes it impossible? If you check not guilty, they're going to run down. So you don't see evidence of arson, you don't see evidence of bribery. They have to show that they believe that evidence was not proven. Again, this goes into jury nullification and also appeal, right? Also, do you find that the defendant agreed that he did tampering with the witness or victim in violation of federal law? You know, I see a lot of stuff in violation of California law. I wonder if Diddy is going to have a state case with California, because there's a lot of this in violation of California law. Also, the defendant agreed. Do you think that he committed forced labor? I don't think they have him on forced labor. And
they not. Hold on. And they would not be able to say, yeah, he did it, but I just think the girl stayed too long. Why she come back? She not on trial. Did he do it? Why she went back is is not a part of the case. Did he do it? Well, yeah, but she was a. Did he do it? Stop moving the goalposts and making it be about her. Did he do this? There's no way you can come back and say, well, no, he didn't, because she grabbed his thing. She used the electric slide too. No, none of that stuff about how long she stayed in it, how much she got from it. She was enjoying. Ain't none of that is going to erase the fact of what he did, whether she stayed or not. That's why I'm saying y'all got lost in the sauce. Y'all got lost in the sauce and looked over the facts. That's how people get caught up and locked up in jail.
Mia was supposed to be the forced labor, and Mia didn't land well, in my opinion. I think she was being honest and truthful, but I just don't think she landed well on the jury. So I don't think they have forced labor, but who cares? They don't even need that. Do you think that it involved transportation for purposes of prostitution, whether the RICO activity that the defendant agreed would be committed involved transportation for purposes of prostitution? See, here's the thing. A lot of people are acting like a transportation for purposes of prostitution doesn't exist, and it's not that illegal. But
Joseph, was you trying to be funny?
Guilty, that means that you have to say that wasn't proven, even though there are hotel receipts. There's this. See, here's the thing. Diddy's team is playing for social media.
I mean, Joseph, was you trying to be funny?
For a home run. Diddy's team spent so much time talking about, but did you see these text messages? Did you see these messages that, oh yeah, baby, I can't wait. Okay, fine, great. But you realize it's illegal to hire prostitutes and
absolutely. It don't matter what she did. She's not on trial. You are. You broke the law.
All right. If you found, do you agree that the defendant agreed to commit a RICO involving
your mamas
to travel for purposes
your fucking mamas?
We already have that with
Sheena.
Dogs. We have that with Jane. We have that with
your mama.
We have Cassie flying in.
Now what? Now what, Sheena? Now what? How you think this gonna work out for you, Sheena? How you think this gonna work out for you, Sheena? Just like your mama. Just like the woman who birthed you finna make me cuss you out, girl. You better just go and leave on your own. Yeah. You are ghetto. You come over to my platform trying to tell me what to do. You feel entitled. You're a Diddy lover. You're a sex worker. Yeah. Yeah. Bye. Get your ass from up out of here. Who else want to go? Like I said, Joseph, who you talking to? Are you trying to be funny? Don't come up. I mean, I'm trying to understand. Don't come over here trying to tell me nothing. If you don't like it, just leave. Because I'm going to embarrass you. Tell you that now. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Crazy as hell. Think you finna come over here talking shit to me? No, absolutely not. Are we clear? Because some of these Diddy lovers feel absolutely entitled, and you don't run shit over here.
There's text messages, there's call logs, all those boring summary charts that we had to sit through, they were for a reason. Again, for the people that believe that Diddy is not going to be found and the jury's going to let him go, how can a juror say that all this didn't happen? Whether you believe that Cassie or Jane was a victim, you cannot honestly say that he didn't fly or induced to travel, induce people to travel for purposes of prostitution. You can't say that. There's text messages everywhere.
Main ones coming over here ain't hitting no like button, ain't supported the platform or nothing.
He committed a RICO involved.
Banned for what? I'm not talking hate, Tess. What I say? Don't come over here with that bull crap. That means you too.
Brendan Paul, who literally is trying to erase his involvement with Diddy and make it seem like
I don't have to allow y'all to come over here and be smart and sarcastic to me. You have a choice to leave. Bye, Taz King.
500
Bye.
bills. They were moving weight. Jane was bringing actual packages over. So even though Brendan Paul's like, I never saw
y'all kill me being entitled.
You cannot honestly say that he didn't fly or induced to travel, induce people to
and I have lawyers in my family.
You can't say that. There's text messages everywhere.
And a judge.
If you found him
and a judge,
RICO, do you believe that he committed a RICO involved distributing and possessing with intent to distribute controlled substances in violation of federal law? Now, I know Brendan Paul, who literally is trying to erase his involvement with Diddy and make it seem like he was working for a fine, upstanding man.
Trying to scare me, intimidate me. Oh, now you're trying to intimidate me.
500 pills. They were moving weight. Jane was bringing actual packages over. So even though Brendan Paul's like, I never saw anything. Shut up. You never saw anything and you got arrested? Okay, boy. Right? Again, just try. Do you believe that?
Hey, Rap Chat.
Also, do you believe whether, as part of the racketeering conspiracy, Diddy agreed or did commit sex trafficking to Cassandra Ventura between in or about 2009 and in or about 2018, and whether, as part of the racketeering conspiracy, he agreed to or did commit sex trafficking of Jane between May 2021 and May 2024. Now, here's the thing, right? Because they're going to put the statute next to it. The sex trafficking does not have to be continuous, and it only needs to be one time.
One time.
When he sex trafficking by frogs, I know a lot of men want to act like that doesn't exist. When he told Jane, we're going out to Turks, just me and you, to celebrate your birthday, I promise you don't have to freak off. And then they got
him trying to threaten me.
Waiting. That was sex trafficking by fraud. It was a person involved in the Commercial Sex Act, okay? And there was something of value exchange for the person orchestrating it, okay? And the person involved in the Commercial Sex Act. But on top of that, when the night he beat up Jane, second instance, where if he didn't believe anything else she said, there's bruises and everything to show. The night he beat up Jane, okay, and he said, you take this effing pill, you gonna take this effing pill, you ain't messing up my night, you gonna have to suck something, you gonna have to F something, you ain't messing up my night. When he said all that, right? When he said all that, was that not an instance of sex trafficking?
Oh no, I don't even want to look at nothing you say. Bye.
Cassie being dragged up to the room by force.
I don't even look at it.
Cassie, after she OD'd, being forced to keep performing by force. You only need one instance, not a bunch of multiple, not one person with, no, you need one person with one interest. They said, do you believe it in Cassie? Do you believe it in Jane? Even if you don't believe it in Jane, baby, do you believe it in Cassie? And if you believe it in Cassie, gotcha. We got you, we got you, we got you. We got you. Oh, wow. One second. I just got a tip. Okay. Count 2. How did you find the defendant, Sean Combs, in respect to count 2? Transportation with intent to commit prostitution. We can argue about whether Cassie was in on it or not. She was not, but we can argue. But if you don't believe that she was, did you do transportation with intent to commit prostitution? You did. You bought her over because you wanted to see her freak off. You wanted to see. Boom. Did you find transportation with intent to commit prostitution? Okay. Did you find sex trafficking Jane? Did you find transportation with intent to commit prostitution? You 100% did. You admitted to it. You called it a lifestyle. So what are we really doing here? You guys, the final instruction. Once you have considered all the questions, please have the foreperson sign and date the verdict sheet and notify the marshal that you have reached a verdict. Do you see what I was saying when I said, you guys, they're not going to get away with this on vibes only. They're not going to get away with this on vibes only. Okay?
He out of here. He out of here.
Rudolph said Jane Doe was having FOs with the escorts without Diddy being.
It don't matter.
No, she wasn't.
But even if she was,
said that
it don't matter. That has nothing to do with what he's being charged.
Where did y'all hear that? Jane Doe was not having freak-offs with the escorts without Diddy present. She went to Vegas.
But even if she was, that don't have nothing to do with what he's being charged for. Whether she did or not, she still and that's hypothetically say, she did do it. She's still working for him. She's still working for him. And it still does not erase the fact that it's his company. So whatever she did, it has nothing to do with what he's charged with. And that's where people get lost in the sauce. Well, she enjoyed it. She said, I can't wait. Okay. That don't mean he has to break the law. He gonna have to eat this himself. He gonna have to put his big drawers on. He gonna have to eat this his own self. It don't matter what's on. Let them be charged on their charges. But right here today, oh, this your cake, baby, and we finna eat your ass up. It does not matter what she did.
Party where she saw the escort doing a freak off for Kanye and Bianca, but she wasn't involved. So she never had a freak off without Diddy present. That is a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. But you know what? I'm glad that everybody is
making excuses for a predator,
spreading this misinformation and literally getting in on these lies, because when Diddy is found guilty, y'all gonna feel all the more stupid, and it's gonna be on some free Tory stuff where all the evidence is there, and y'all gonna be hoping till y'all 90 years old that there's an appeal. There's gonna be mystery people coming out, this and that. Oh wait, hold on. One second. Can y'all hear me? All right, hold on. I gotta charge a little bit. But again, there's gonna be mystery people coming out, right? There's gonna be mystery people coming out, telling some bull stuff, doing this, doing that. Oh, I got a story about Kanye and Diddy. I think I know why Kanye's doing all that stuff, but we're gonna have to talk about that later. Let me charge this really, really quick. I gotta charge the thing. So there's a whole thing with like the Kanye and it's like y'all just gonna feel stupid, right? Oh, Rockman said thanks for the update. You're welcome, Rockman. Y'all gonna feel so stupid when this shit comes. Sorry, when this stuff comes out to be RICO. But again, it's gonna be impossible for the jury to skate by. Now, hear me out on this one, right? Because y'all know I have one more thing to actually show you guys. I want to draw your attention to something very, very, very important. And it's something that I want to, where are we at? No, that's not it. Is this it? No. Is this it? No. Oh, here we go. There's something, wait, is this it? Do I have this up here? Hold on, y'all. I want to call your attention to something very important. I'm going to have to, it's not this. Wait, I think it is. No. Hold on. Let me just change this and see if I can change this really quick. Okay. Okay, here we go. I actually think that we need to actually take a look at the original superseding indictment. And the superseding indictment was the last indictment they did, and it is the fullest, best representation of all the charges against Diddy, okay? Now, why you might be saying, Tisa, por qué? Why are you guys showing, why are you showing me the superseding indictment? Because, two reasons. One, I love being right. I love it. It's just, it's the sweetest thing I've ever known. I love being right. But what's the second thing? Because I love proving idiots wrong. And this is for the people in the back, okay? Y'all realize that as much as these, you know, couch chair legal people are saying, and I don't give a damn if you got an Esquire, I don't care how many alphabet letters you have behind your name, okay? I don't. You cannot deny legal fact. And there's a lot of people, and you see from Diddy's paid people, that are trying to deny legal fact. Now, what does that mean when I say they're trying to deny legal fact? Because as much as people are saying, oh, I don't see RICO, I don't see racketeering, I don't see any of that. Well, do you know what you should see? Do you know what you should see? You should see the fact that in the indictment, they literally listed federal crimes. Their job in the courtroom was to prove that Diddy committed federal crimes.
Period.
And as much as some of these Diddy loyalists want to cry and scream, she a hoe, I don't see it. Okay, it's boyfriend, girlfriend.
Watch out, they'll say you hating because you don't, because you able to see what they can't.
Listed in this indictment is a federal crime. You might not think it's a crime. You might do it, but you're not a federal judge. You're not a federal prosecutor. So instead of being like, oh, this is what the defense
but you're going to be going to federal prison, you keep it up.
Testify anything. This is what the people testify, and I don't think this and that. I don't see RICO. Let's go back to the indictment. Because whether you agree that this should be illegal or not is different from the fact that everything they listed was, in fact, a federal crime. So with people got on the stand and they proved these things happen. No matter
okay,
how
let me move on. This is the last one. I'm going to go so I can be ready for tomorrow. She also found this. Some more stuff that they tried to present. Petty.
And every day that more and more information comes out, we see the Diddy Pro outlets are now releasing never before seen evidence.
They releasing it now.
The prosecution didn't want in. Talking about it's going to change the trajectory of the case. Boy, shut up. First of all,
It could have changed if y'all would have known the truth.
Evidence, right? Now, let me put this into focus. This evidence.
But he still got them cheerleaders.
Messages between Diddy and Cassie. Now, why is this evidence
just now coming out?
Dropped an academics page, and you know they are a ho for Diddy, right? But also all the insults are running with it. Oh, if this had been shown to the jury, it would have changed the face of the trial. I agree. It would have. Do you know why?
Because it's the truth.
Fought like cats and dogs and were successful in getting these text messages excluded. Because they knew if these text messages were admitted, Diddy would look like an even bigger sleazeball, dirtbag, psycho, predator person. What is it?
It's coming out now.
Harassing Cassie for $50K after Cassie caught him once again grooming other freak-off people. And again, I can't even say cheating because they were on a break. Anyway, let's get to these things because Diddy sounds so pathetic. I don't understand.
So they was withholding evidence
to release. But I will say one thing: desperate times calls for
desperate measures. Are y'all still here?
Desperate times.
Can y'all still here, or have y'all left?
Measures. And baby, this is desperate. How do you think this makes Diddy look good?
I need for y'all to hit the like button. If y'all still here.
Y'all to hit the like button. Good. Mind you, as you're reading this.
Can y'all still hear me? I need to bring that over here. Hold on, let me bring this over here. Yeah, I need y'all to hit the like button. Double tap your screen. This is out. This is the one we going out on.
That it was the worst kept industry secret that Diddy was always viciously beating Cassie. Let me repeat that. Diddy was always viciously beating Cassie in public. The elevator incident, the feds latched on to that because it proves it happened. The other stuff wasn't caught on camera, so there was no way that they could prove it. But this proves. But it wasn't the first, second, third, fourth, eighth, 10th time that anything that actually happened. Hold on really quick. Okay, I got these messages up. Again, as you read these messages along with me, tell me how this helps, okay? I'm gonna have to do the dramatic reinterpretation of these messages, so y'all just gonna have to rock with me. Cassie comes in by saying, I don't owe you shit. You owe me, Diddy. You'll deal with that and we're done. Y'all ain't playing me, Cassie. And you ain't playing me. We're about to have a big problem because all you do is harass me for shit that's wrong. Now you already know that literally while she is talking trash, Alex is sitting there like, let him come. Because here's another thing I will say about Alex Fine. As much as people like to be like, oh, he was broke, he was broke. Diddy paid him $50,000 to train Cassie a few times. Second of all, right? Alex stayed with a great check. Not just with Diddy, he trained movie stars, he trained actors, he trained whole movie sets and actually TV sets. But my point of the matter is, Alex Fine has been the only man around Cassie that hasn't been scared of Diddy. Michael Jordan was like, oh, my fault, stepped away. Kid Cudi was like, I don't even know what's going on, right? But the whole point of the matter is, Michael Jordan literally let Diddy know, I'm sorry, not Michael Jordan, Alex let Diddy know I ain't never scared, and that's why Cassie's sitting here talking trash while Alex is probably laid up next to her. Talking about, give me the phone, I'll talk to him. Anyway, Diddy goes on begging, saying, I'm asking you to deal with it. If you deal with it, we won't. So you just literally, instead of going to Alex for the fucking money,
you went to her.
Well, look at that.
Still trying to intimidate, still trying to see if he had power and control.
Why are women everywhere choosing Abby X?
Because that's what imps do.
I got the tummy tuck results without the tummy tuck.
Deal with it, we won't. So you just literally, instead of going to Alex for the fucking money that you want this man to pay you, you up here harassing Cassie, saying, give me $50K or we gonna have a problem. Always being a little bitch, because once again, you threatening the woman instead of stepping to the man that
you don't ever step to the man.
With. Anyway, right? Cassie goes,
he ain't never stepped to none of them
male. No matter what, have a problem. You push me too far. Diddy starts going in. You already ran a scam on me with Carrie. You pushed me too far. I'm telling you to deal with it. Deal with it, or we don't have a problem. But now it'll be dealt with today. But no, it will be dealt with today. Let's you, me, and him get together. Why are you in a woman's on her phone threatening to do something with her when the man is right next to her? I hired him to train you, not to hang out with you and become his friend. Someone is giving me my money back, and y'all can have each other. But you got Alex's number, so we already know why. You bitch. But let's continue. Why did you have to do that with someone I was paying for? Anything more than that is disrespectful. And he disrespected me. And then he texted a whole bunch of heart emojis. Why are you on my MFM phone, Diddy? Cassie got more patience than I do. Sounding like and again, you only know how to threaten women. Let's keep going. Listen, Cassie said, you blocked. He said, do you think that was right? Cassie said, I just told you I didn't, and you're wrong. I've been telling you. And now I'm done. Because unlike when all these insults were put, Diddy and Cassie were off and on again. It was a cycle of abuse. Diddy's just mad that while it was off, and he was acting with Carrie's friends, while he was grooming other freak-off people, while he was out, because he cheated on her the entirety of the relationship, and everybody knew it. You're mad that she actually found someone that stepped into the world to help her get out of this cycle of abuse. But Diddy wasn't done.
Y'all bump chest
Are you gonna give me back
hairs when a man do it?
Why are you begging begging her to do something?
Now y'all know.
Like,
hold on. The defense didn't want this to be admitted into evidence.
What does it have to do with you effing the trainer? Is that your justification? It's foul. You can't admit that. And I'm tired of you threatening me. I think we need to fix this and you're the one with the threats. And I'm not releasing anything. You're threatening me and I'm letting you know it goes both ways. She said, Cassie literally said what I've been saying. Yo, hit up Alex. I have nothing to do with it. I'm done with you. Okay? Now, I know what y'all saying. Oh, this proves Cassie was planning to leak her own tapes. Nah, because let's get further into the message saying, listen what she was threatening to do. He said, how are you comparing her to a trainer I paid for?
Hi, Andre.
She said, you were effing Carrie's friend. That's one of Cassie's best friends. F you, right? So he's coming at her about how dare you be seeing Alex while you were literally...
But her and Mia was friends.
Diddy said, so you want to hurt me because I effed with the trainer? Release the videos also. So I guess Carrie's friend was another trainer. She said, I didn't. Stop accusing me. Release what videos? Fool, you're a lunatic and I'm done. And she also said, and no, I didn't pay for that B for her services, but I've had her blacklisted as a fake ass model. I mean, can Cassie get somebody? You know what? I feel her. They're both talking trash. Let's move on. Anyway, she said like beyond. And now you have, she said, and now you have it at a point. Everyone is going to know exactly who you are and what you've done if they don't already know. Diddy said, let him know that as a man, he now needs to deal with that. I'll let him know. You have this shit real messy. I refuse to let a white boy that I paid to train F you. You let everyone know that I F with Gina, and everyone will know that you F with him. Cassie said, baby, everybody will know that he is my husband, and I really don't give a damn.
Really?
Alex was sitting there like, I don't give a damn too. If you don't give a damn, we don't give a what? Anyway, right? He said,
he sound like a female. His feminine side came out for real.
Cassie said, yo, I'm telling you you're wrong. Diddy said, why did you have to do that knowing I was paying for it? Damn, why? Listen, Cassie said, oh, guess what? I'm not releasing.
She was paying for it. He never produced them 10.
Face and body.
Boy, please.
Every time you beat me up. Those are the tapes and the videos and the messages. He's like, you're threatening me. Threatening to release these images. Now, ask yourself, who was fighting to keep this out? The defense or the prosecution? Because it shows that the abuse goes past those two times.
Absolutely.
They had this blocked because the defense didn't want the jury to hear it, but y'all can hear it. Diddy goes on to say, I really advise y'all to address this issue. Please, thank you. I want my money. I'm getting the invoices from Jamal. Still, like a little bitch, harassing Cassie. Why don't you go to Alex? Anyway, she said, I told you I didn't hook up with him in the house. I don't know what you're talking about, seriously. And you owe me my face when I almost lost it a few times. Again, she had so much damage. Also, this goes on to prove that Cassie was not.
You know that bag was going to send him to the prison. Hopefully for life.
After. And she said, so you
he gonna be moved from jail
me alone. Diddy
to prison.
Done. Whether it was in a house or his or a hotel.
Because he wasn't smart enough to remove himself.
Do you think that's right? So where did you hook up with him at? Do you think that's
ZMS.
right that I was paying?
Oh well, he paid for it.
You was hooking up with whenever? Cassie texted him back, you are so wrong. Leave me alone. And then she sent a picture of the girl that she accused Diddy of sleeping with, saying, how can you say that I'm cheating when you had...
And she had already left at this point, ZMS, so what you talking about?
I was paying for her. I was paying
she had already left.
I don't want all my money back. I'm not going to let y'all two cornballs play me. How are you even comparing the two? I had this man training you, and I have to deal with that. You can F whoever you want, but the person I was paying for... That's how you, me, him,
you can't dictate who somebody kick it with.
So let them know I'll be in contact.
Isn't that crazy? He said, except for people he was paying for. Did he not pay for the XXX workers? Did he not pay for the male? The male hookers. So what is he talking about? Because he paid for it. She hooked up with people that you paid a service for. He not, what? He don't even make no sense. He paid for the for the entertainment guys to be intimate with her and have freak offs, right? Yeah, he paid for that. So what's the difference? And she slept with him. So what's the difference? Yeah, you just a hypocrite. You hate losing.
With him, took up with him at. Do you think that's right that I was paying for the trainer?
You paid for
it up with whenever? Cassie texted him back. You are so wrong.
Yeah, you are. You paid for the Punisher.
The girl that she accused Diddy of sleeping with, saying
it don't make no sense.
Say that I'm cheating.
But then you're gonna have some men saying she slept with
I wasn't paying for her.
He was paying for that.
For this cat, and I want all my money back. I'm not gonna let y'all two cornballs play me. How are you even comparing the two? I had this man training you, and I have to deal with that. You can F whoever you want, but the person I was paying for. That's how you, me, him, and you and him need a remedy. So let them know I'll be in contact. Why are you still texting Cassie?
And she got a whole man. Are you calling all the XXX hookers?
Definitely will. Do you think it? I was paying $50K for this
ninja,
then $18 for you and Carrie, and you effing me both ways, effing thou. I promise you, you'll get nothing good back from your karma. I was paying for this, and you won't even come clean. You were evil. I think I just saw something about it on Instagram. I'll forward it to you. You should get your publicist on this. And oh yes, tell her to send Alex invoices. And then your friend, no, Cassie's blackmailed him the whole time. He's just crashing out. And then your friend extorted me. You really got a foul, evil thing going on. Please stay away from me.
Now he's trying to do reverse.
No problem. God bless you. For real. I pray your karma don't hit you more than it has now. Because you're a piece of work on the low. Girl, you got everyone fooled. Good for you. I hope it continues to work for you. Love, number blocked, love. I said, okay, it should be done. Nope, Diddy wasn't done. You did me so dirty. I thought
he was with Young Miami and Gina and all these other people.
I need to know how you think you and him are going to play me like this. You're giving me back my money. You're giving me back my money. Let him know I'm coming for mine. Y'all ain't got to take my money and F me over like I'm a sucker. Karma. And then he was stalking Alex's page, and he sent a picture of Alex holding a puppy saying Natty needed a friend. She's nameless as for now. Diddy said, no, you went too far this time. And the whole time Cassie had him blocked. Y'all, listen. I don't understand what Diddy's
She had him blocked.
This info. I don't understand how they think it makes Diddy look good. There's so many guys being like, oh,
that's why he didn't want it admitted in evidence.
So let me get this straight. The woman is bad for, and they're not, for exchanging money for their body. But the man they're defending is not bad for saying because he beat her left, right, and the third, that doesn't excuse anything. And she needs to pay him his the $50,000 that he claims he paid for a trainer. Man,
He paid for the hookers too.
F your money, ninja. And I'm glad Cassie did it. And then you know what? This is what Diddy is like most abusers. You don't got shit to say to the actual man sitting next to her, but you're going to harass her for $50K and talk about karma, baby.
It don't make sense.
This lets me know so much that Diddy was mad.
He whining because he paid for a trainer that she hooked up with.
Talk about karma, baby.
But you paid for triple X workers who came to dance for y'all, and you talked them into going to sleep with y'all so that you can film.
The RICO charges. Go ahead.
But that's
and check
okay.
out live when we lay it out, and don't forget we also have merch. If you guys want to collect.
There we go. We'll be ready in a few hours. Y'all get y'all some sleep. Let me charge up my phone. Y'all have a good night. Bye. Hit the like button on the way out.